God Almighty, it's the TV God. Welcome to the show.
What up, folks?
Welcome to the show.
Week 7.
Already.
NFL previews. Look at that.
This is Jimmy Buffett, the late great.
Jimmy.
Lost a good one when we lost Jimmy Buffett. Tony Bennett's not dead.
No.
But it feels like somebody died. Easily like the biggest hero in Virginia sports modern history. Tony Bennett, national champion, leader of men, maker of dreams, crosser offer of bucket list items.
Provider of one of the greatest pictures, I think, of you two together.
Yeah.
On court.
Yep. A post-national championship.
Yep.
Donor to the Waterboys, waterboys.org. Check us out. Just a wonderful man, and I'm going to get out of the way in a second and let Macon talk about it because he is legitimately depressed. I know that life goes on. Like, you know, I'm also a football guy. But Tony Bennett did give us a chance to see a national championship in person with our own two eyes. One of the best nights of our lives.
No doubt about it.
And for a guy like you who legitimately lives and dies with the team, let me just say that so I'm not like stealing valor here. Like, I am worried about your well-being. In fact, I want to, as the host of this show, give you an opportunity to walk the fuck out of this building right now and go to that 11 o'clock press conference so you can cry.
Thank you. I don't think I need to be there to cry. I can really cry anywhere, as evidenced by the past 18 hours or so. But thank you. Yeah, I guess, fellas, I would liken it to having a dog, right? So you get a dog. It's a puppy. It's a cute puppy. It's a good puppy. Really like fun-loving and obedient.
Yeah.
The puppy breath, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And the dog starts to grow up, becomes your best friend, and it's riding with you beside you in a pickup truck. It's always game for a good fetch, you know, sleeping at the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
Gets along great with people, with other dogs. And everybody's like, hey, man, you got a great dog. It's like, yeah, thanks. You know, that's what everybody says. Really feel fortunate. And then at some point,
A car hits the dog?
this sweet, gorgeous dog
Have water.
turns like 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
And it's still a great dog.
No need to put it down.
And you can't believe how lucky you are. And you go to the vet, and the vet is like, hey, we don't normally do this. We didn't think we were able to do this. But we can guarantee you at least 10 more good, healthy years out of this 15-year-old dog. And you're like, holy smokes, that's great. I can't believe it. Man's best friend. And then you go out into the parking lot at the veterinarian's office.
Let's see
and
how
you
the
go
chat's doing.
You go to lift the dog into the back of your car, and the dog pulls out a gun and shoots itself right in the head. Dead dog.
Somehow operates a Glock
Yeah. That's kind of how it feels right about now.
with his paws. That's
Like you didn't think it was possible.
yeah, dude. Oh, whoa.
Now, at the beginning, you figure, I'm not going to get 15 years out of this dog.
Mm-hmm.
But then the unthinkable happens,
He's not gonna cap himself in the parking lot.
and you're set forever.
Yeah.
And then he gets his paws around a trigger and kills himself.
Think about. Look at Nolan's face.
Like,
You just wouldn't understand, Nolan. This guy sleeps with a Virginia basketball blanket, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm a fan, like borderline fanatic at times in my life of Virginia sports, but this guy is another level. We got to go to the national championship. Let's focus on the good times
yeah.
in Minnesota. By the way, who'd we see that night? Who did we end up drinking with that night at the end of the night?
Sir Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Guess who I saw Monday in at the airport?
Chuckster?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, walked right in.
Serendipity.
I had to. I was like, Chuck. Yo, I got off the phone, went and talked to him, but, we didn't reminisce about that night. Okay, but we can reminisce about that night here. It was the only time in my life that I've been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Thank you, Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
You know, if it weren't for you guys winning the national championship. I'm right there in the background like this with Tom Sandy and Heath Miller. Heath Miller, Steelers great. Tom Sandy, Colts great. Okay? We're in the background like this, and I felt like somebody paid to put us on one of those, like, Wheaties boxes as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yep.
For everything that we've done athletically in our lives, like, that to me was one of the biggest, like, moments just to say we were there, bro. Like 50 years later, I'm going to show my kid, God willing, I'm going to show my kids that Sports Illustrated and be like, there we are. You know what I mean? And that's all Tony, man. Everybody had everybody had something that they took from that memory. And it happened to be in the same building we won the damn Super Bowl in. So Macon and I got to run around after the game. He was in his suit and tie because he was doing the game, and he was scooping up confetti, and it was great, man.
It was great.
So don't cry because the dog shot itself in the head. Laugh because the dog used to win national titles.
You're right. What we're supposed
Smile.
to be saying today is he doesn't owe us any more of his time, and we're grateful for
Hell
everything
no,
he did
dude.
for the
Thank you,
school.
Tony.
And yeah.
Hey, Tristan Jones, wait a fucking second. A family member basically just died. You want to be persona non grata? Break up this eulogy with your fucking impatience. Okay? Every time I see this name pop up from here on out, I'm not answering you. We're talking about Tony Bennett, one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, who abruptly retired yesterday. Okay, so thank you, Tony. We're going to move on to football now. Nate, do you have anything to say about Virginia basketball before we
NIL takes another one.
You think it's NIL? I don't. You think it's all NIL?
Yep. I think someone walked in there and was like, you know what, coach? Season's about to start. I need $500,000 right now.
And he's like, you know what?
Well,
And I wouldn't blame him.
No, I don't think that happened, but maybe. I think that's the gist of stuff that's happening. And I feel like if I am a coach, an old school coach, a lot of this new stuff is probably very unsettling, and maybe this is the only option.
Maybe we'll get Tony on TV like we get Saban on TV. You know what I'm saying? Probably not.
That's hate. That's hate.
You hating on Tony,
That's
bro.
hate.
I need Tone to go enjoy his life,
Okay.
but
Got it.
not in front of our eyes. That's too
Because you don't want,
painful.
yeah, it's too painful.
I mean, it's like the worst breakup ever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
What about
Quickly,
his feelings? Sheesh.
Okay.
quickly, can we ask the question we asked
Yeah.
earlier? How many wins would, if you were head coach and we were your staff, how many wins would the UVA basketball?
Yeah, I asked this question. I was like, he you know, this is evidently one of the best. This is another thing that should be noted real quick about Tony Bennett, is he's retiring in a year that the roster is, by all accounts, loaded.
We're going to be all right.
He's got the most top 100 kids than he's ever had before. And Nate's totally right. This is portal and NIL related. This isn't.
But has the
his
Ron
game.
Sanchez era begun?
It will begin today.
Okay.
And I think Ron's going to be great.
I think it's going to be dynamite.
But it's a very interesting question. If you're the head coach,
If I'm the head coach of the Virginia Cavaliers with this roster this year in college basketball, how many games could I lead us to wins in? And I think it's over 10.
I think you go 500. I think,
Really?
Yeah. I think you're 15 and 15.
So
or
what's the big
thereabouts.
deal with this Tony Bennett guy? Honestly, or any of these guys.
Well, you'd have a lot of work
Greg
to do in your
Popovich.
post-game pressers where Tony made everyone want to become a better person. I'm not saying you couldn't do that, but that would be
I
difficult.
couldn't do that.
Somebody's like, Coach, talk to us about offensive rebounding, and he's like, well, this is why you need to wake up.
I'm all out of
full
motivational
career.
speeches, but I will tell you, last night, can we move to the Denver Broncos Gods team?
Please, after we hear from BetMGM.
Oh, we got to hear from BetMGM. What do we want to hear? Okay, as you know, we've teamed up with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for you listeners each week. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code GREENLIGHT, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code GREENLIGHT. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. If your bet loses, just make sure you sign up using bonus code GREENLIGHT when you do. Guys, gals, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And one more piece of housekeeping before we get into the glorious win last night by God's team. Our random player. We got to shout out our random player. It's Chiefs 49ers this week.
Oh, Chiefs 49ers. Yeah, to explain what we're going to do with this.
And so
what are we calling this? So when we say we're shouting out a random player, people know what we're talking about.
we got to do game of the week.
Game of the week.
Player look back.
Yeah.
Player
look back.
like because it's a player.
We got to workshop this.
Yeah.
We got to name
That
it after
was
the
version
most
one.
random player.
Who's the most
all
random
time.
player in football history?
I think we might need to think.
How about
We'll
NFL nostalgia?
Well, that is just too fucking down the middle, Matt, in my opinion. It's got to have a hook to it.
The most. Oh,
The whole deal is we're gonna just because it's early in the life of this show in its current form, the Friday preview show live. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pick game of the week every week. This week it's San Francisco and Kansas City. Go figure. It's a Super Bowl rematch, and we are rewarding listeners who can produce the most random alumni of either one of those two teams on a week-to-week basis. Who won last week?
someone in the chat.
No, I know, but what was the game, and do you remember the player who won?
Lorenzo Alexander.
Laurent from the Bills, because it was Bills. We just saw it. Fuck, who did they play?
No, we did Commies Ravens.
Oh, Commies
Yep.
Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm totally fucking confused, but in the future, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a game of the week. You guys are going to, on twitter.com or x.com,
Yep.
we're going to put out a social asking for a bunch of names, and we're going to pick a winner
Based on those replies
on the
So
Monday show.
It's yep. On
And
the
you're
Monday
going to
show.
get some merch. If you win, if you pick the most random name, like this week,
We might already have a winner in the chat.
really.
Chat.
Re-
Kendrick West. I mean, that's hard to beat.
How about who was the guy with the hair, the nose tackle, in those Jim Tom Sula days? He was a big Polynesian nose tackle, and he had a lot of hair, and he moved up and down the line. I respected the hell out of him. He'd be a perfect name. Okay, another one would be Jeff Ulbrich. If
Yeah.
Jeff Ulbrich wasn't coaching right now, he was on some of those Niners teams. I think Jeff Garcia, if we're talking Jeffs, is a little too mainstream to win this competition. Now, if we're talking Chiefs, the Nigerian Nightmare is not going to qualify. He's too famous. We need like a random player from those dark days of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Not Ian Williams.
Wouldn't
You
know.
think-
More like a Dwayne Bowe cowboy.
Did you think Ian Williams was the Polynesian guy I was referring
well,
to?
I wasn't sure.
Oh, Polynesian great
Ian Williams. That's good stuff, dude. Oh, somebody said Vinny Holiday. That Vonnie Holiday, I
Yeah,
think, is
Vonnie.
Merton Hanks is great. Longest neck in
Yep.
NFL history. He used to celebrate like for 5 minutes at a time, and now he's on the board that finds players. He's on the appeal board that finds players when they celebrate too much. I think it's that and uniform stuff.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I got a couple of Chiefs for you. Joe Montana, Marcus Allen.
Okay, that's good.
They were in the same back.
No, I know.
Believe that?
Yeah, I know. It's random as fuck.
Random as fuck.
I got another one for you. Marquez Valdez Scantling. Might see him again.
And
Okay.
I think you're thinking of Mike Purcell. You're actually thinking of Mike Purcell.
I'm definitely not. I promise you.
I guarantee.
Somebody's going to remember the 2012 49ers, and they're going to find it's number 90 for the Harbaugh 49ers.
Oh, Harbaugh, not Tom Sula.
Well, it's
Okay.
kind of a little crossover there.
Gotcha.
Tom Sula was the defensive line coach.
49ers, shout out to
I can't get this guy's name in Isaac
Spice
Isaac
Adams.
Sapalo. That's a really good pull, Kevin Kernick.
Oh,
That's a really good pull. Okay? So let's get into the game last night. Guys, I knew it was going to be bad, and I knew that I wasn't going to watch the whole game when Bo Nix missed 2 open receivers at the same damn time.
Oh my God!
He threw the ball to the spot.
Overthrew one,
Missing
un-
2 receivers at the same damn time. At the same damn time. And then Rattler hit Barton in the face with a ball.
Oh my God, bro!
And I was like, hey, dude,
rattled.
I love rock fights, but this is a little too kinky for me. Everybody's got a kink. is a little on the line for me. This is the stuff you refresh your browser history after watching this game.
Magic number is 5. We're 5 wins away, ladies and gentlemen.
5 wins away from the total.
Yes,
What's the
sir.
total you got it at?
8.5.
Wow.
Ha!
But as the game went on, the thing I realized, Cowboy,
The Panthers are next.
and I don't know if this has been said, I didn't look on purpose because I still want to say it. Tim Tebow walked so Bo Nix could run.
Oh.
Is that not the most true statement you've heard all day in this young Friday?
Don't
I mean-
take that, Cowboy.
Yeah, no.
Stand up for your guy.
I mean,
Is
Bo
that a
Nix-
slight? I'm
Well-
saying he walked so Bo Nix could run.
Yeah, no, I know.
Tebow was a poor man's Bo Nix.
I don't even think you can put them in the same sentence.
Really?
Well, Tim Tebow, the reason they won those games was the leg of Matt Prater. That was the reason that we went on that run.
I understand.
And like the Steelers game, the Steelers playoff game, yes, that was Tim Tebow and Demarius Thomas, but Demarius Thomas.
I didn't
what?
say how poor of a poor man's
Okay,
Bo
it's
Nix he
pretty
was,
poor.
But when I was
Pretty poor.
okay, is Bo
But-
dropping a lot of dimes right now?
No, he's not dropping dimes. But dude, you look at his quarters 1 through 3, and he's close to Tim
This
Tebow.
is not a slight.
But that
this
I know
is who
I
they
know.
wanted Tim Tebow to be.
Yes.
Right now, when they put Drew Brees in the booth last night, and Drew, they were like, you know, Sean said he kind of reminded him of you back in the day, and like, you know, they didn't elaborate that it was strictly his like, you know, kind of how assertive and communicative he was and all that stuff, and you could kind of feel Brees being like, yeah, you know, Bo's best when he's on the run.
Hold on a minute, player.
And hold on a minute, player. And at one point, he said during a replay, it looks like Taysom Hill out there. So I think that's where like Drew Brees stands, is this guy, and he's telling the truth. Like you could see Bo's feet are all over the place. You know, you could see Bo kind of struggles to set his feet when it's not quick game. And so it's going to take him time to get those mechanics down. If he gets the mechanics down, man, cash in on this 5-year window, because there's no white 25-year-old rookie running quarterback that lasts into his 30s. I mean, this guy's too old to play like this for too long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's got to learn to throw the ball too.
And here in the next, I think after the 2025 season, we're out of the Russell Wilson contract. We have no more dead money. So
Then you can really load up and build around Bo Nix.
We're going to be getting some receivers that can separate a little bit. No shots at anybody, but we're going to get a little more. We're going to go after those T. Higgins out there.
Oh, yeah. T. Higgins is going to want to come play and catch balls from
Did
Bo
Cord
Nix.
even get a target last night?
He did
Portland-
not. The first time
Sutton
in
did
his
not get a
career,
target.
he was not even looked at.
That's wild.
Well, he might have been looked at, but
I
not
sat him.
during
I
play.
sat him down in fantasy at
Smart.
8:12 p.m.
smart.
Yeah. During
Well, Bo Nix is throwing him the ball, and again, I'm not like I don't dislike Bo Nix. I love what's going on. It's fun to watch. There's something fun to watch about a coach like Sean Payton saying, "This is what I need to win."
And how about his only having 5 letters in his name?
Bo Nix,
That's a great graphic.
very simple. Also, in another way, like Tim Tebow was supposed to be an American hero, and he was, but Bo Nix is like he's a modernized American hero. You know,
There was a shot of him at the
pretty
end
sure
of
he's
the
had
game.
sex.
Yep.
And on top of that, I think also like his whole family is like out of a movie. His dad's an Alabama high school football coach. He's going to support him this weekend. They're like, yeah, but they got decisions to make because his adopted brother is playing college football here. So the whole family is into football. They're obviously a very good family. They have an adopted son. Bo Nix seems to be like, coach's son to the max.
Hez Johnson is the adopted son. He plays at Oregon. They played together last year. Balled out.
That's so cool. So it's a great family. It's a great story. Bo Nix seems to be a good dude. I didn't see him after the game at the podium with the Prime people.
There was a part in the game. It was right at the end, right before Jake Haener came in, and they gave a shot of Bo Nix on the sideline. It was him and Zach Wilson,
Right.
and Bo Nix had his hair straight up to the sky, and he looked like, I'm sure he's the greatest dude ever, but he definitely looked like the quarterback in the high school movie.
Yeah.
That you're at first not too fond of.
Yeah, like a
He's
villain.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
He's got a villain face.
A little bit, but boy, do I love watching him
it's fun.
throw the ball into the dirt or into a receiver's
It's fun.
hands.
There's sometimes he misses like badly, but it's fun. And for the Saints, man, it is going to be a long year. The paper bags are back. In the fourth quarter, there was a statistic that I saw where they had 95 yards before contact, the Broncos did. And I'm sitting there thinking, because I've been on bad teams, this is going to be a long year because 4-minute mode is going to be like most of the rest of the season, looking at the way these injuries are mounting up and that sort of thing. So Saints are officially a yard sale, like a total yard sale, because we've got a Debo leaving in an ambulance. What's the deal with him? Do we know?
I haven't seen an update yet, but yeah, it was obviously the air cast goes on right away. It's bad news.
Lattimore goes out. Shaheed is done.
Debo underwent surgery early this morning for a season-ending broken femur.
So you lose a Debo femur. That's bad. That's up here.
Yeah.
That's up here. That's bad. That's like there's a lot of thigh.
Once a decade, you hear femur.
Did you know you could hear Aiden Hutchinson's leg on the broadcast?
Yeah.
Like,
That's wild.
it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's a violent game, man. And I feel like we've seen some really rough injuries in the last like week or two. But when Lattimore goes out too, like it just felt like, hey, the injuries are piling up too much for this team. A contender should send something over for a couple of these guys.
Well, we talked earlier in the week about the Lions. What are they going to do pass rush wise? Is Chase Young somebody that the Lions could come call? The one thing is...
So Chase Young, I have Chase Young written down here as one of the first pieces at the yard sale I would look at. But there's an interesting team, and I was going to save it for this breakdown, but I'll talk about it right now. How about the Commanders?
Go back.
You know what I mean?
Go back.
You know?
Hey, it's a...
Don't be too proud to say, hey, let's snag him on the low. The value is depreciated. You know, Granderson is also available. I think Granderson could be an answer for the Lions. I think Honey Badger's still got some good football in him.
Didn't
He's
last
not
night.
too expensive.
Didn't last night.
I understand. I understand. Buy him low. Buy him low.
Just kidding. We love you.
Buy him low. We love you, Honey Badger. Buy him low. Somebody buy Honey Badger low. And for fuck's sake, can somebody go get Derek Carr? Yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not?
You brought up the Dolphins. The Dolphins would be
Why not?
That'd be one hell of a spot.
You got to say,
Depending on
why not?
whatever-
Yeah.
Why not?
The Dolphins.
Maybe. I don't know.
Tua eligible to return next week.
He is, and we'll talk about that. I mean, Granderson, Chase Young. Anybody else I'm not thinking of, Nolan?
I mean, the contract he'd love to get off the books is Kamara, and obviously he's a player who can help any offense around the league.
But it's a lot of money.
The question of exactly. On the other end of that deal, as a team buying him, do you want to take on the entirety of that contract? Do you have the space for it?
Talk about somebody who's just produced like every single season.
And
This
somebody
season,
just pointed this out. If anybody watches the tape, nobody wants Chase Young. That may be true, but what I'm telling you is I was on that first. Okay, when everybody told me he was going to be in the Hall of Fame year one, who was the one who was the hater, who was respectfully just, hey, pumping the brakes a little bit on the kid. And who's the guy who told you Montez Sweat was the best guy on that defensive line? So I'm not saying this guy's a world beater, but his value has depreciated to the point where if you were the Commanders and you wanted to instead spend on something big, a lot of these teams are looking at, hey, let's go get Max Crosby, let's go get Myles Garrett, hand up. Okay, as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but sometimes it's let's grab a couple pieces, especially for like a defense like the Commanders. Might be one DB, J.C. Horn, right? They're playing him this weekend. Might be Chase Young up front. Just add a couple pieces to make you more competitive. Because while he's not like a star, he's a starting caliber defensive end in the NFL.
Is Cam Jordan stuck there?
Cam Jordan?
Is he just stuck there?
He's stuck.
He's stuck.
And with all due
retiring
respect to
State.
Cam, I think it's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, like, it's over. It was over for all of us at some point.
Yeah.
And I think Cam's had a Hall of Fame type career. I can't poke holes in that, but like, age is age.
Yeah.
So
35.
yeah, dude, he's going to be good in the media, in the near future.
My note to the Saints would be
Can somebody turn the air conditioning down? By that I mean make it warmer. Thank you.
my note would be the adversity. Okay, if you learn to use it right, it can take you to a place you couldn't have gotten to any other way.
I think that might be a little bit inside baseball for most of these people that struggled to get through the Tony Bennett eulogy.
No. That's applicable not only to any team,
Mm-hmm.
but to your lives as a whole.
Yeah, no question.
Lean into it.
Lean into it a little bit, Saints. But there's going to be a lot of adversity the rest of the year, and I don't know. Dennis Allen, I think a real barometer for how good your head coach is how he prepares your team when he's down a quarterback. I really do. And you look around the league like at Matt LaFleur and people like that who have to spot start a Malik Willis or that sort of thing. And the team looks different, but they win games. New Orleans had, 4 or 5 days to get ready for this thing. They had more time, really, knowing that Rattler was going to play last week. And not only in that game against the Bucs do they get the ball run up their ass for 275 yards, which is like the first thing you have to take care of if you're going to trot out a backup quarterback is like, we got to play good defense and support this kid. But you also find a way to, botch the turnovers that you inherit in that game. And then 4 days later, you got Sean Payton coming back to really take your soul, because that's who Sean Payton is. Like Sean Payton, the reason I bet the fucking Broncos last night is because Sean Payton is a sicko. And Sean Payton, and the reason I was nervous about the under late in that game was not the fumble return for a touchdown, which is just, hey, sometimes the ball bounces the other way. It was, hey, is Sean Payton going to rub their shit in it? Because that's kind of the kind of guy he is. I've been down there in New Orleans where he was the head coach and ran the score up on us. I thought he was going to come back last night and try to rub Dennis's face in it, even though that's his boy. And that's what happened. And maybe he got him fired. It's still early on Friday.
Can we take a second to give a shout-out to Stidham?
Yeah.
Bo Nix, 75 rushing yards.
Yeah.
Did not go out for victory. Stayed at 75. So better is if you had Bo Nix at 75, you're sweating.
Was there a Bo Nix 75 plus money bet?
Yes.
Really?
And I had it. But
No way.
But I had Kamara on the other end, and Kamara had a trash-ass game. And Bo Nix.
Only 7 carries.
Exactly.
To Chris's point about getting the team ready with a backup QB.
Yeah.
Mystifying.
That's why I had Kamara.
Well, maybe you're saving him to trade him.
I had his totals through the roof for that reason.
But maybe you're saving him to trade him.
Maybe.
Like maybe you're saying like maybe that came from on high where, Loomis is like, sorry, Dennis, I know you're coaching for your job, but I'm going to try to ship this guy to Kansas City in a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man. Got a yards per carry cap on him at 1.5.
Yeah.
God.
Before we go to
Somebody rescued Demario Davis, man. That guy is a stud. Total stud. Buffalo would be incredible. Incredible. If they they probably don't. But if they added a Demario Davis, they just added Amari Cooper. Okay. All right.
Before we go to London, let's check out the Airbnb situation across the pond.
What's up, everybody? If you've been listening to the show for a while, you probably heard us talk about one of the many Airbnbs we've stayed in. We had a lot of great times at Airbnbs in places like Phoenix, Buffalo, especially Buffalo, Green Bay, and Minneapolis. I'll never forget some of the memories we made, like hearing the Coyotes howl in the desert, playing pool into the night with the guys, and interviewing legends like Brian Dawkins right from the comfort of a beautiful Airbnb. We love the convenience. And it is way easier to hang out with your friends when you have a big place to share rather than staying at a hotel room with separate rooms.
And every trip we go on to the Super Bowl across, everywhere, we'll be staying in an Airbnb.
I think New Orleans, we've got one,
We've got a
pretty good one lined up.
sick one.
Pretty good. So, what's up?
finish
I got to finish the ad read? You guys got to scroll down. Let me back the bus up over the producers. Okay?
Okay, Doug.
If you're listening to this from home, is that where I am?
home enough.
Okay. Hosting it on Airbnb is such a good opportunity if you live in a big football town. A nice vacation with the whole family sounds expensive, right? Well, when fans come to your town for one of those big games, your home could be an Airbnb. Hosting is a practical way to earn extra money to make your vacation truly special. If you're listening to this from home, what you might not realize is that your home is worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host. And that's especially true if you live in Charlottesville, Virginia, where everybody's going to be mourning the loss, rightfully so, of a legendary basketball coach for the rest of the season. And the opposing fan bases are going to sell out our stadium. So in those scenarios, what, you're like, you don't like
Come
it?
get this work. It's the Ron Sanchez era.
It is the Ron Sanchez era.
Going to be a lot of winning in Charlottesville.
Yep. Okay.
Fuck.
It's such a dark day, dude. You need this, though.
Think about it like this, though.
Okay.
Okay.
Points.
Huh?
We're going to see points.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different.
No more 40-point wins.
Yeah.
How about 60 and up point wins?
Yeah, Bomani Jones can't
All right.
shit on our style of play anymore. Hey, Bo, how do you feel? Ron Sanchez era has begun.
I loved. All right, we need to keep.
Okay, we'll keep it going. We'll go Kansas City, San Francisco.
I loved winning our way. 76-27.
No.
Yep. All right, Kansas City, San Francisco, the game of the week. Remember to get your little submissions ready for when we ask for them on Twitter.com.
Larry
What about
Johnson.
the people that aren't on Twitter.com? What do they do?
You're gonna
You're gonna have to sign
You're
up.
gonna have to sign up.
That's how you
Just
get
do
merch.
it for this.
Brandon Albert.
By the way, Bevel Conway, most beautiful football site of the week. Will Anderson wearing a green light hat at the podium, speaking on his AFC Player of the Week deal.
No doubt.
Hat trick, throws on the green light hat. Matches with the green hoodie. We love Will Anderson. He was great on the show. We're a big fan of the Texans. We're going to talk about the Texans and Packers in a second. Shout out to Everett down there and all our friends at the Houston Texans. Okay. Kansas City, San Francisco. I like Kansas City, I think, here. I got to look a little bit closer, but here's the deal. If you're the Chiefs, you played this team less than a year ago, and this offense is down Christian McCaffrey. Now, the Niners had a lot of trouble beating man coverage in that game. They really did. And I think it kind of defined the game, along with the protection mistakes that they made late in the game, like turning Chris Jones free on a key down. You're down your best man beater. And the Chiefs are coming to town. And the Chiefs, they really do present a unique challenge for you offensively because of the backdrop of what happened in the Super Bowl and the fact that you don't have Christian now. Now, Pearsall could come in and he could play and he could be exactly who they say he's going to be. I think Justin Reed on Kittle's going to be a huge matchup. But the bottom line for me is this Pearsall guy's got to be a game changer if this team wants to go where they want to go this year. Because when you look outside, the separation is just not great. And the run game has continued to be good, but the thing we always talk about with Christian McCaffrey is not just he's not a running back. You also lost a slot receiver. You lost, you already have a Deebo Samuel. I'm not comparing him to Deebo, but you lost a kind of like positional plus guy, a Swiss Army knife. So Jordan Mason's been running his ass off the whole season. Guerrero, this guy last week, who I kind of wonder if you might see more of him, because if you think about Jordan Mason, I don't think he's ever had a workload like this. And, he is a power back. If Christian McCaffrey's not coming back this year, or at least for a very long time, you're going to need Jordan Mason to be able to tote the rock at a high volume. So I think the Guerrero guy you might see more of. He also adds a different element. I didn't know he ran a 4.33 at the Combine. And by the way, something to look at, he's 220 pounds running a 4.33. You think about what the Dolphins have done with Achane, and the element that he adds to that offense. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be getting the ball. Achane's a normal-sized human being. This guy's 220, running a 4.33. I think he could be a part of the plan in the future for them, at least in the near future. So for San Francisco, it's all about, can you protect? Are you going to fuck the protections up? Can you get somebody open against man coverage? And, yeah, the matchups look different. Snead's gone. Willie Gay's gone. But again, you're down probably the biggest straw that stirs the drink for you, and Chris Jones is still lined up as a Kansas City Chief. And I think offensively for the Chiefs, it's about slowing down Nick Bosa. It's just bottom line. The guy had 12 pressures in the Super Bowl, had trouble finishing. And that's when you're rushing Patrick Mahomes, it is really hard to rush an athletic quarterback. Nate, we used to always hear it, right?
Yep.
When you're getting ready for an athletic quarterback, it's D-line coaches pucker up all week. They are nervous as hell. They coach scared. And not only is Mahomes an athletic quarterback, but he's an athletic quarterback who he can throw the ball 50 yards from any platform behind the line of scrimmage. And so he can kill you to his ball hand side, so you have to be cognizant of that. His drop target could be 12 yards, could be 13 yards. And by that I mean, for people who don't know, generally a quarterback drops to 8 yards, 9 yards. If as a rusher, if you got a sack at 11 yards, a little bit of it is at least what the quarterback gave you, right? So a lot of times a guy will have a big game and he'll run the hoop for 2 sacks and they're both at 12 yards and I'll pour a little water on it and people are like, hey, you're hating. But no, the QB has to make it easy on the offensive line. Now, Mahomes doesn't do that, but you'll take the trade-off of the explosive plays and him being Patrick Mahomes. Nick Bosa has to be able to stay high, get to 12 yards, but also retrace and get in that B gap. And I think the biggest concern for me is these interior guys. They're banged up anyway. Hargrave's out. Collins and company inside.
Yeah,
they're all questionable.
Yeah, Collins and Elliott are both limited, and then Kevin Givens, who's kind of a depth piece for them. He's in the rotation. Popped up as a non-participant yesterday after not being listed Wednesday, so that's a new injury for him.
So I do think this game comes down to the run game for the Chiefs. The inside three, Tooney, Smith, those guys. I mean, they're just road graders. They're just beasts. And so if you can get these guys on your depth pieces, I'm talking about San Francisco's depth pieces, if they don't have guys up, this is where the game's won and lost to me. The gap scheme runs, the pounding the football, and the quick game too, right? Kansas City runs a lot of screens. I worry about that with Fred Warner. But I do think San Francisco coming out of that Super Bowl, the reason Steve Wilkes got fired is because he couldn't sit on his fucking hands in key situations in the game. And you saw it all year last year where they got burnt, in big downs because he got a little bit horny. And Sorensen does not bring pressure like that. So maybe that's, you break up with somebody, you try to date the opposite kind of person on the rebound. Sorensen's not as aggressive. He's a little safer that way. So I look at this as a game where it's about quick game. It's about who's the matchup on Kelsey. And then for San Francisco, it's can this guy Garendo carry the load? And when Mason's 100%, is it a shared workload thing as we go? Because I think it should be. I really think it should be.
It has to be. Right?
It has to be. So I think I like Kansas City in this deal because of some of the injuries and because of the matchup.
Let me ask you guys something. Should Christian McCaffrey owners in fantasy be entertaining trades or entertaining getting rid of him right now?
Yeah, dog. Let's make a deal right now.
See, that makes me feel like I shouldn't.
Well, I mean,
can I interest you in some Ray McLeod?
What's the latest? Now, McLeod, they really went to him a lot in that Steelers game early in the season. They might go back to McLeod.
Here you go.
Right?
Let's do it.
So it sounds like I should keep him. I should hold tight.
Well, you should probably do better than Ray McLeod. That guy on the couch next to you, he's trying to fuck you. I don't mean it like that. It's a casting couch, but so.
Hey, how about Purdy, according to PFF, 0 turnover-worthy plays under duress?
Dude, I like Purdy a lot.
Anytime,
do me a favor. Anytime we talk about the Niners, ask me how I feel about Purdy, because Niners fans have this thing where he doesn't get enough credit, and there's been enough talking heads that have, in their minds, discredited the guy. I think he's a hell of a player. I don't put him in the top 5, but here we go. Like I did this to Jared Goff, where I said he's not a top 5 quarterback. He might be closer to 10, and people think I'm a Jared Goff hater. So part of it is, as a fan base, you got to toughen up a little bit, but part of it is like, just be happy you have a guy that seems to create as much as he does. He not only, we had this conversation where Cam Newton's talking about he's a game manager. He's never been a game manager because he can extend plays. Game managers don't extend plays. Game managers don't drift to 13, 15 yards like Mahomes, and you work the scramble drill. And game managers can't take off like he can take off and affect people with his legs. So whatever he is, he's not a game manager, and I think we're way past that. But a guy that every time I watch them play, I'm pretty impressed with him. And just everything you want in a quarterback, he's got it. So there are no limitations. I think the good thing for the Niners is they've gone through this a couple times where, unfortunately, they weren't able to sink the real window. I'm not saying the window's closed, but with McCaffrey hurt, it's tough. But the window that's been open the last 5 years, 7 years for this team, if they'd have had a Brock Purdy the whole time, I think they probably get one, but they can't beat the Chiefs. I think they're 1-5 in the last 6 against the Chiefs. So,
are you with the Chiefs? Are you at all worried? They're undefeated, looking great, but Mahomes is averaging the lowest passing yards per game in his career, and he only has 6 touchdown passes.
No, because I know who he is. I would worry if he was like a third-year player and we were like, it's a smaller sample size. I know who he is. He's one of the best to ever play. The worry would not be Mahomes. The worry is the function of the offense. And he's missed some balls this year, but he'll be fine. I mean, he's Patrick Mahomes. They are so good at shifting into whoever they need to be to win. And I think, like, ironically, you think about Andy Reid and his reputation. I remember when Doug used to not run the ball sometimes, and people would be like, well, he's from that Andy Reid school. And like Philly fans would be like, well, we used to see that with Andy Reid. Or it would be like, run the damn ball. Well, one thing that he's done a lot in situations in Kansas City because of the personnel, and I think because of sometimes the issues outside, is they've morphed into a team that can run the football. And the gap scheme runs from them. It's a damn good look. The power football, Kareem Hunt's been really good. Fresh legs. You called that, Nate, that he was going to come back with fresh legs and look very good.
Kareem.
So I think Andy Reid is capable of turning them into whoever they need to be, and Patrick Mahomes is fine with that. Everybody there is bought into winning.
With that being said, if they get past this game with a win, you think it's possible they could run the table?
Who, Chiefs?
Yes.
Let's look at the rest of their schedule. I don't think it's likely at all. Well, no,
they
because
got the Texans in there.
Okay, zoom in a little bit. Enhance. Okay, they go San Fran, they go Vegas, they go Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is going to be a tough game for them.
Okay.
Next one, 2 in a row, 2 gauntlets.
And listen, they lost to Denver last year. Denver. When you don't have an offense that scores 35 points a game, you can lose any week. The NFL is hard, right? And so Denver at Buffalo, skip ahead. You're going to host the Chargers. Chargers are a tough football team. You're going to host the Texans. You're going to go to Pittsburgh. I don't think they run the table, but it is interesting to ask the question. And it's
because, like, just thinking like teams do, if they're going to be good, they're probably going to start progressing and getting better. Like if Kareem Hunt just got there, like things are going to open up. They're going to have new.
They're ahead of where they were last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The team will start gelling. You know how it is. Like when the team starts gelling in the locker room and the offense, and Patrick Mahomes will start getting on schedule with Kareem Hunt and some of these new guys, and maybe that is going to equate to maybe a couple more touchdowns.
That's the thing.
A few more field goals.
The reason I took them last year to blow through the playoffs, and the reason I never gave up on that team, is because it's kind of like the Tony Bennett thing. When you have a special coach, what you see early in the season is not indicative of where the team will be. You can develop a team. Like half of coaching in the NFL, if you talk to these guys, is figuring out who you are. Some coaches don't even know who they are. They don't know who their team is. They don't know who the roster is. They're just swimming. They're just keeping their head above water. Andy Reid, he knows who the identity of the team is, like week 3. And he can see like 10 weeks in advance, like where can we be, who are we not going to be, even in the face of some tough injuries. And he's had a bye week to get ready for this game. All right.
NFC North? You going to go to the NFC North?
Let's go to the NFC
Lions
North.
at the Vikings. Is this the game that the Lions – does this end their undefeated season?
The Vikings?
Sorry, the Vikings.
Oh, I was like, damn, I don't know. The Vikings, possibly. I mean, listen, I think the undefeated season, that's way less of a conversation than even the Chiefs conversation, because I worry about Aaron Jones on IR. Like, I worry about this little stretch where maybe they come down to earth a little bit.
So that was news. That was news yesterday, kind of a crazy turn of events.
He's not on IR.
That was talk earlier in the week. Not only is he not on IR, they upgraded him to limited yesterday.
So you think he's going to play?
We don't know. I mean, Kevin O'Connell has been calling it week to week.
What are we doing? What are we doing with
They
this?
did just trade for Cam Akers, too.
The trade for Cam Akers looks damning.
Right.
Yep.
Like that to me is like when you hear, hey, homeboy's going on IR, and then the same day they trade for Akers, who is a decent back, knows the system, right? Like has been in LA, but has a fumble problem. And, it's not like a high-end back. It could just be depth. Mm-hmm. But to me, that says he's going to miss some time. So whether he's on IR or if he doesn't miss this weekend, great, dodged a bullet. They're going to need him. And then it's fun because you're like, are they going to match him up with Branch? Is Branch going to match up with Aaron Jones? Like, what can they do out of the backfield? In the Jets game, when they lost him, like, that's tough. With a lead, no Hawkinson in that game, no Aaron Jones. So you don't have the formational personnel flexibility to say, hey, we're going to put tight ends on the field and possibly run the ball, but also we could hit Hawkinson in the middle of the field. He's probably coming back this week. Is that what it looks like? Hawkinson's going to be up, hopefully.
Hawk.
Is that the case? What do we think of the chat? Maybe the chat knows.
Limited yesterday.
Limited yesterday. So
Hawkinson.
The point is, if you don't have Aaron Jones, for this game especially, I feel like it allows Detroit, who has trouble outside, they're a little grabby. I think Carlton Davis is a damn good player, and that's who's going to be on Jefferson as much as you can get that matchup. Mm-hmm. But
if he's out there, he's another one.
He's another one who's limited. Yeah,
quad.
Yeah.
So it's and that's a situation where if you get Terrion Arnold on Jefferson,
that's going to be a problem.
Whether it's Rakestraw, Khalil Dorsey, Kendall Vildor on Addison, it's going to be tough for Detroit to come up with the right matchups in the secondary.
You could cloud him, you could do all types of stuff, but the bottom line is if you take a bunch of attention and put it on Justin Jefferson, Addison's good enough to beat their next best guy. And so I worry about that. But the bottom line is it's a lot easier to deal with all this if you can keep the box light. And if you're not worried about Aaron Jones as a receiver out of the backfield. So that's a huge thing to keep your eye on. I don't think he plays. Just reading the tea leaves. And if he's not on IR, I kind of wonder why that talk was out there. You know what I mean? You don't often hear the guy's going to be on IR and then maybe he's going to play. So that sounds a little fishy to me. For Detroit, I can hear Dan Campbell talking about it in my head right now. Men, we don't know who they are if they're not out in front. They've had a lead the whole season. So what does Minnesota respond like when they're down, when they've got to play from behind, when you put pressure on Sam Darnold? I think that's going to be the whole game is going to be who can jump out in front. We're talking about that in both locker rooms for sure. And can they crack who has been a top 5 unit in rush defense? Minnesota's done a pretty good job. But again, this is EPA per rush.
Yeah.
So we are going on a basis of like, hey, in a vacuum, how good are they stopping the run? But in general, they haven't been in a position where a team's in 4-minute mode and a team's like, hey, we've defined it's a lot easier to stop the run when it's not happening 30 times.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be the question of the game for me. If the Lions get the run game going, here's where they can hurt them, in the middle of the field. Because we said this going to the Jets game, there's one thing that the Vikings don't do a great job of defensively, and that's you can manipulate these linebackers a little bit.
Laporta.
And Ivan Pace, I think, is down. So, Kamu's going to have to play some snaps. Our guy, is Cashman down? Is it Cashman or Ivan Pace? Of the injuries,
Cashman. Yeah, Cashman's
down.
what he
Cashman's down. Cashman's down. So these guys, Pace, Kamu, whoever's back there, can you use Metellus as much? Because they're going to be heavy. Like, Detroit's going to be heavy. They're going to be running the ball down your shit. Play action pass. These guys get nosy in the middle of the field. And sometimes in zones, they cover a little green grass. And by that I mean they're just in the wrong spots. So for me, if you can get the play action going, which Jared Goff loves, the difference between his passer rating since he joined the Lions, 114.3 play action pass, 88.3, just drop back pass. That's the game they want to get into. Now, if you're B-Flow,
careful.
Do you blitz the fuck out of this guy to get him off the spot and keep him from turning his back to defense?
Yes, but this year, 71% against the blitz. Best easily by far in his career off against the blitz this year. And that's at a air target of at least 12 yards.
So that's gonna be the story of the game to me, is like what B-Flow does. Does he decide, hey, we're gonna run our shit? He said we're gonna fight fire with fire. Okay? Made me think about the movie Firestorm, which starred Howie Long. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about a sequel where Brian Flores is the firefighter, and Dan Campbell's just been torching stadiums, and he's coming to your stadium. Well, what do we get? We're going to fight fire with fire. Now, what that means to me is we're going to be who we are. Now, maybe they're not going to be who they are, and that's just him blowing smoke, no pun intended. But I think it's going to be a situation where he finds out if we can get Jared Goff off the spot in situations and speed him up to when you have to turn your back to the defense and you turn around and there's somebody in your face. That's a difficult deal. Now, not every blitzing unit is the same.
Or you just let the ball go and David Montgomery runs up the middle for 8 yards.
And I think that's probably going to be what they want to do. Now, we'll see if Minnesota can hold up. But I think this game's going to be incredible.
On the other hand, on the other side, how do you feel the Detroit is going to fill the void for Hutchinson being out?
Aleem McNeil's got to play big. There are some guys on the interior of that Vikings offense. Ingram's one of them that give up a lot of pressures, and there's some guys that are going to give up size to him, Reeder, guys like that. I think Aleem McNeil's got to have a huge game. Sometimes you got to pressure a little bit more, and I don't know if that's going to be something Aaron Glenn does generally more. But somebody's got to step up, and you really don't need anybody to be Batman. You need a couple guys to play like Robbins. Mm-hmm. That to me is, if you can get a couple guys to be disruptive, to press the pocket, to win the pocket, like caving a pocket. We like sack numbers, we like getting home, and Hutchinson was getting home. But if you can cave a pocket in the NFL and four guys rush together, and I'm talking about being on the same page at all times, not just against scrambling quarterbacks, but knowing where the power side is, knowing who the balance up guy is, knowing who's got the one-on-one. You got to be really precise. And when guys get their one-on-ones, they have to win them. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has to just play team rush defense until they figure this out. And people are clamoring for Max Crosby, and that would be cool as shit. It would also be a shame as a fan, because I think like seeing Max in the silver and black is pretty damn cool. And like you figure he's like the most Raider guy ever. But he is from Michigan.
He's gonna have to get a big lion over that Raiders tattoo.
No, I think he'd probably just get a new one, right?
Maybe. Depends on how it goes on the way out if he leaves.
Somebody said Jameson Williams anytime touchdown. Vikings going to sell out against the run. Goff going to catch them with a poster or crosser off Max Pro play action. This is from Kevin Kernick again. I like that.
that.
Yeah.
I got it already teased with a Sam Laporta touchdown
From your lips to God's ears.
I think if Sam Darnold's watching this, we need to give him a word of advice. Try to throw touchdown passes of 21 yards or more, because the Lions in the red zone, the quarterbacks when throwing the ball are 1 for 14 this season for 10 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 picks.
This is the Lions defense?
Sorry,
we're throwing 21-yard touchdowns in the red zone?
Yeah,
I'm
the
saying,
high red.
Stay out of the red zone.
Stay out of the red zone.
Get out of the red zone.
Yeah, 21 and more. We don't want it once we get 21 yards or
the red zone is lava.
Yes.
Red zone's lava.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Actually, I hadn't thought
hard.
about it.
Yeah.
And if you like Jefferson props, this is the week for it, because this guy, I mean, last year
He'll have any matchup he wants.
Any matchup he wants. And last year he shredded these guys, and they were always trotting out like imperfect QBs, so it could be even worse. And I feel like this is a game where he goes off now.
He needs 16 yards this weekend to pass Jerry Rice for third most receiving yards by a player in the first 5 seasons.
So the next one is Houston Green Bay, which I think is going to be a fun ass game, dude. And I think this is the Romo Nance game. So we get Romo and Nance if you're into that. I was listening to Brian Bearfield from Locked On Texans. I was listening to a podcast, so shout out to him.
You're good at attribution.
I like because some people don't attribute. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Lead
mean?
by example.
I'm trying to lead by example. I don't want to be sending cease and desists out to anybody. He painted a picture of a situation where there's a lot of change. And, when you look at this Houston offense, he makes a good point. Not only is Slowick, it's early in the game for him. He's a year and a half into this thing, and he wasn't an offensive coordinator before last year. And so, you look at Bobby Slowick, learning his way, you add Stephon Diggs, then you lose Collins, you add Mixon, then you lose Mixon, and there's a host of other newcomers and changes with this offense that, it can explain away some of the rust. It almost seems like rust. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and in the second half of these games, they've shot themselves in the foot. But in general, we all thought that Houston would look like more of an offensive juggernaut. The saving grace is the defense has been very good. But this week, both backers are at least questionable, I believe. And
a lot of key guys are DMPs.
And then Ward, Lassiter,
Jimmy Ward, Lassiter, To'oto, and Fadukasi there too, one of their starting D tackles.
Tough deal. And I want to, hey, before I move on to this, I forgot to say, if you're wondering who Detroit should go get as an edge rusher, and I know Lions fans have spent the better part of 2.5 years or whatever it is discrediting Trayvon Walker and his skill set, but this guy's playing pretty good ball too down in Jacksonville, and he would be a welcome addition, I believe. Right. And Jacksonville's a burning building. So,
hey, what about you?
What about me?
Yeah,
I'd do it.
Ooh.
I would. I'd do it. I'd fucking break my femur the first quarter, and
come on.
And I'd go to the locker and be like, so it turns out that I can't play anymore, but I just had to find out. You know what I mean?
Give us your height and weight.
You definitely wouldn't break your femur the way I walked into your crib and this guy's doing heavy ass deadlifts.
I'm still in good shape. I'm 255.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
They could put you in coverage.
No, they won't put me in coverage. They won't put me in coverage. I was on Inside the NFL this week, and we did this trick play thing where we were going through these old trick plays, actually because of the Lions. And RC, myself, Bill are at the big screen, and Bill's like, "I got something for you, Chris," and he shows me the Super Bowl play where Brady got leaked out and they tried to throw to him, and I got mad at Chris Collinsworth because in the broadcast he blamed it on me, and it's case in point of Pro Football Focus not knowing what people's jobs are on the field. Well, Bill thought the same thing, and I didn't want to argue with Bill on air. But in Jim Schwartz's defense, for the record, it is rush, crush, close. So I was doing exactly what I was asked to in that defense. You might think it's unsound, but in that scenario where I was chasing 40-year-old Tom Brady from 10 yards behind him, that wasn't me.
You'd be a hell of a locker room guy up there, man.
I would be, bro.
Yeah.
I'd be a locker room guy anywhere.
I know.
You know?
Yep.
I was built for the locker room, dude.
So Bill said you did the wrong thing.
No, Bill was like, he was busting my balls on TV, and I didn't want to argue with him and be like, no, Bill, actually Jim Schwartz, who doesn't know more than you. Maybe the right thing would be for me to run with Tom Brady out of the backfield, but in our defense,
Do your job.
I was doing my job. All right, so Houston, Green Bay, the 4 big injuries for Houston. We had Jaden Reed on yesterday. Jaden Reed, great kid, like just a stud, emerging as one of the best in the league, period. And I think what's interesting about Jaden Reed is, does it kind of remind you of the plight of a right tackle a few years ago when everybody thought left tackle's the premier position, and like, hey, Lane Johnson can't be, for instance, one of the best guys in the league. He's a right tackle. Well, he is, and a lot of the best rushers rush on the left in today's NFL, and it doesn't matter as much anymore. It's not all about rushing the blind side, protecting the blind side. So right tackles kind of got, devalued a little bit, and I think slot receivers do the same way, where it's like Amon-Ra St. Brown isn't talked about in the light he probably should be. Reed isn't talked about in the way he should be. And this is a guy that really is the straw that stirs the drink. Then you get Dobbs back last week after his sabbatical, and he looks incredible. I mean, like the body control on this guy, the size, the whole thing. This is a team that lives off explosives. And when you look at Houston, something that they've struggled with is keeping the ball in front of them. Now, a couple of those balls early in the season were shot out of a jugs machine via Anthony Richardson's right shoulder. But they still can get beat deep. They still can get nosy. I would look for the matchups, and I would try to get Petrie in man coverage, stuff like that. What are you pointing at?
No, I'm saying
Is there somebody behind me?
no. I say these teams, it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme. They're like kind of like both similar in a sense. Like everything you're saying right now, like it can be explained for the other side.
Yeah.
Where they both have pieces and they have explosive wide receivers and they have quarterbacks that can make the big throw.
Yep.
And their defenses both have strong points, but it's going to be interesting to see like if they're going to be able to pick C.J. Stroud.
Well, for Jordan Love, he's not talked about like C.J. Stroud is.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can make a case for the run he went on last year over a 9-10 game stretch where he barely threw the ball to the other team and he was incredibly efficient. Like, his coming out party was spectacular. And, he comes in this year, damn near blows his knee out, comes back, and he's thrown some picks, and he has sprayed the ball a little bit, but he's also hit these shots, man. And I think that's when I'm looking at a quarterback, I want you to be able to hit the home runs. I'm sorry. I'm just, like, maybe I grew up in the home run era of baseball or something, or I just like the deep ball, but this guy can throw it, and they've got guys who can go get it, and Wicks seems to have dodged a bullet, right, with the shoulder thing. So this is a defense they're playing against is banged up. We talked about Al-Shaair, to me, is maybe the most important guy on this defense. Mm-hmm. Now, I think they get Autry back this week, which is a big deal. We've been waiting to see Autry up front with this group. They were really humming last week. But if those backers are in trouble, there are a lot of things that Al-Shaair can do to help you against a Green Bay team that majors in motion. I mean, there's a lot of pre-snap stuff. There's a lot of window dressing. And who are the people that get manipulated the most by motion? To me, it's the backers. Like the backers, their eyes are critical, in the run fit, the whole thing. And one more thing, you talked about the similarities between these two teams. Mm-hmm. Now the Texans have Joe Mixon back.
Yep.
Who is actually came on the show yesterday. He's out on YouTube right now. I love talking to Joe. That's a big, powerful back. Josh Jacobs is a big, powerful back. Yep. These teams can pound the ball. Hopefully, Houston can with him back in the lineup. And they can also hit the big plays. So what does it look like? Is this a game where Diggs goes off? I think this is a game where Diggs goes off. I really do. I think for a lot of the season, you're trying to figure out how to distribute the ball equitably. There's a lot of mouths to feed. But the simplicity of the assignment this weekend could make it a kind of deal where we're just, hey, we're going to pick the matchup we like, and we're going on the road to try to win. It's not about, feeding everybody. It's about feeding the guy who's got the best matchup.
But Houston is the most penalized team in the league.
That's a shock.
Your thoughts?
That's a shock.
It is surprising.
Is it like a lot on offense or defensive penalties?
Couldn't tell you that much.
Okay.
But it would not have been one of my 10 guesses. First guesses on the most.
It wouldn't have been one of my.
League.
Yeah, because I thought they did a great job last year, and I'm a big fan of the head coach. But ultimately, penalties come back to the head coach.
32-14 offense to defense.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of offense.
A lot of like false starts and holdings, and
it's a lot of offense. But again, as we pointed out earlier, it's a lot of guys who are trying to get on the same page. They're just starting to play together, and this is going to be a team that, as the season goes on, is going to get better. So Green Bay catching them right now, pretty good for them. They got to take advantage. They're at home. I think they're going to be hell to deal with at home throughout the season. That is a tough place to play. And one more time, and I hit Joe Mixon not Joe Mixon, I hit Jaden Reed on this yesterday. We were on the set of Inside the NFL this week, and I felt so fucking smart because Bill was like, and guys, what do we got to watch for when we play in Green Bay? And I go, footwear. And he said, footwear. And I was like, yeah, it felt like a good dog moment. And,
boy.
You know what I mean? And it's true because you go up to Green Bay, that surface is sketchy. And so with as much motion as they run, and I always say this, with teams that motion a lot, the reason motion's great is because the play starts early. If you've got a mismatch or if you got a great player, you got to make a defender account for him, not for 3 seconds, for 6 seconds. If it's an orbit motion, if it's a cheat motion, the play starts when a guy's moving. And if a guy's moving in the NFL, I know the ball hasn't been snapped yet, but guys fall down.
Yeah.
Guys end up in tough trail positions where they're susceptible to being shook out of their shoes or falling down on that surface. I think listen, you can slip on offense and somebody can get a pick. That can happen for sure, and that could go for 6. But I usually think about bad footing affecting the defense. I think about like one guy falls down, it could be a house call. So Texans got to be in the right footwear, which is something that I'm sure they're talking about this week.
Is there anything else that the Texans could take from the Cardinals last week, because they're both dome teams, going into Green Bay and playing outdoors? Is there anything else they watch that game? Is there anything else that they can?
Here's what they can take. Watch the game and watch how Green Bay goes for the jugular early. Watch how Green Bay tries to play the game on their terms with a lead, and do not let them take your soul in the first quarter, because that place when they start going dun ch dun dun ch, go Pack go, and the amateur cheerleaders are out there and everybody's got their shirts off and they get the orange camo and the cheese on their heads, like it is a scene out of a movie, and it feels really hard to win up there when you get down. And I played up there when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback, and he was drawing us off sides and hitting shots, and you couldn't hear yourself think, and before you know it, you're down. And that's what they want to do. They want to lead these games, give Josh Jacobs the ball, who's a 4-minute machine.
Here you go.
Yeah.
I got one for you, Fax. Green Bay, 6 home games. Aaron Jones, just about 600 yards of offense. No Lambeau leaps to date. -120 anytime scorer, Josh Jacobs against Houston, which doesn't stop the run very well.
No, and so Josh Jacobs has got to be a big part of this deal.
Yeah.
-120 for anytime touchdown. I love that. Might put that in right now.
Do it.
And we heard from Jaden Reed yesterday that Lambeau leap, not easy. And so shout out to
No,
you.
it's not easy. Shout out to me. Another reason Dan Campbell should look at me is when I make a pick 6 at Lambeau later this season, I can jump up in the stands for you. I would go play for Dan Campbell right now. There's a couple teams I would go play for right now at 39 years old.
Name them.
Detroit Lions.
Who else?
Philadelphia Eagles. I'd always answer Howie's call. I don't know that I'd go. And then are there any others?
Detroit's at Green Bay November 3rd, so you better hurry up.
Yeah, I got to hurry up.
Get ready.
It's really hard. You kind of forget how to play.
Can you bend still?
I don't know.
Can you run a hoop?
I don't know the answer to that.
What about like a money downs only plan?
Right.
Money downs
that would
only.
protect against injury.
Yeah, that was kind of what we did in Philly too. Money downs only.
Will you authorize your real estate agent to call the Detroit Lions on your behalf?
Sure.
I'll call him right now.
You call him right now?
Yeah, let me look
Call
up.
him.
I'll look up a number while we get to the next one.
Okay.
Either of these two teams would you go to play for? Jets or the Steelers?
No.
No. Okay,
What?
cool.
You wouldn't go play for Tomlin? That's hate.
No, they got too many outside backers. Where's my money down? I'm 39. I'm getting off the couch. I gotta be out there, man. You know.
I hear you.
Come on.
Tomlin, he'll put you in a package.
Yeah.
The long package.
Okay. Okay. Is he calling the Lions?
Yeah, give me a minute.
Yeah.
Though. It's automated for now.
Well, we got to start the. Can I smoke a doobie with a helmet on? Yeah, but I'm not. I don't plan to. Also, don't tell them about the pot. You know what I'm saying?
Detroit,
Dark in the chat.
Michigan has great pot too.
Yeah,
really good.
I love that
pot.
we're calling it pot.
Yeah. Or reefer. We call.
I think we got to go back to calling it pot because pot doesn't sound as insidious. You know what I mean? Weed,
reefer,
reefer
reefer.
madness. Just smoke a little pot. All right. Facts wild, and somebody said. All right. Let's go to Seattle and Atlanta. I think, honestly, one of the most fun games of the week. I couldn't put it up top because it is the phone's ringing. Is it you calling ticket office?
I'm going to get to somebody.
They do test for pot. Little shoot 'em up, Deshaun. They do test for pot, dude. They do. They absolutely test for pot. You just would have to smoke a ton of it to fail because they changed the threshold. Where back in the day, you used to smoke pot all year, then take like 3 weeks off before camp because the way they do it is you knew. And the last time I said this, I had like a couple guys like, "Don't tell the whole game. Don't give up the game." I'm like, bro, like
everyone knows.
Everybody knows.
They're gonna know.
They test by position groups, and it starts in like OTAs. So you'd show up for OTAs, and every OTA practice would end, and everybody be like waiting at the end, like who's got a piss in a cup today? It's good news if you do because that means it's it for the year. And they always used to do like quarterbacks first, then like long snappers. They just pick all the guys they know aren't smoking pot first, and then they make the position groups that they think are smoking pot wait till like camp. So you got to go home for the summer and I can't sleep. I'm losing my fucking mind. And, well, what I do is I just continue to smoke until I'd be 3 weeks out and then stop. Now there's some guys that would really chance it. You know, they'd go like 48 hours, they get a bunch of niacin and drink cranberry juice. I'm like, bro, you are
and vinegar.
That's why you have. That's why you've had to like stop smoking or you lose your job because you failed these tests before. All right. So, anyways,
Seattle, Atlanta, the Seahawks.
Seattle, Atlanta.
They went from 3-0 to 3-3 in 11 days.
Talk about a place with good pot.
Okay,
extra rest is what they have. Okay, they've got a little extra rest. It feels like it's been a while since they played that game. I think it's a good spot for Seattle. I think it's a good spot for Geno in a dome. I could argue why either team's going to blow the other team out, honestly. He and Dak are tied. If you listen to this show, you know we talk about Dome Geno. He and Dak are tied for 6th in quarterback rating indoors since 2022 with a 104 rating, I believe. The Falcons have not rushed the passer, but Grady Jarrett usually eats against this team. And what's the tackle situation for Seattle? Do they have an injury?
Yeah.
Is it Stone Forsythe?
Stone Forsythe has been a DNP this week dealing with a hand.
So guess who's been up there in Seattle biding his time?
Hey Nathan, you're live on Greenlight with Chris Long. We are just checking to see if Chris could come and play for the Lions for the next couple weeks and if you all test for pot.
Kidding about the last part.
Do you think, like, Hutch is down, sadly. Do you have room for
Could like a poor man's Hutch come play for you? He's not 40 yet.
Is that a soft yes?
We love to hear it. We love the ask. It's one of the better calls I've ever gotten.
So it sounds like a maybe on the first. What about the pot? Are we testing for marijuana these days?
Let that poor guy off the hook.
This is awesome.
Let that poor guy off the hook.
Yeah.
Okay, just marinate on this one and give us a call back at your leisure.
Hey, you know what? I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk to Brad. I know Brad.
Talk to Brad.
Chris
Dan,
does.
too. We know Dan. All right. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
my guy Nate. gotta love a Nate.
I'm
working.
dying, bro.
That just made his day, Macon.
Bro, the laughter. He didn't know what to say. He was like, "Man, am I really on the air? Am I gonna get fired?" But yeah, Jason Peters might play.
The bodyguard.
Bodyguard's 40-something years old, dude. You talk about guys in their 40s, like Aaron Rodgers. Imagine being Aaron Rodgers' age, actually older, and playing in the NFL. I mean, Jason Peters deserves some sort of lifetime achievement award for continuing to do this thing. And that's enough reason to watch this game. Want to see Jason Peters play. DK Metcalf on A.J. Terrell. That is a matchup that at times DK's had his way with. And last week, I didn't think DK played real well, and I think everybody knows that.
And he didn't either. He said in the midweek, I think his midweek press conference, he was like, "That interception, that's on me."
Yeah, dude.
I gotta come back to the ball.
And you know what? I love to hear that. I love to hear that from DK Metcalf, that he's like an accountability all-star this week. So is Justin Fields. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I look at this matchup and I say this is one I like coming off a week like they had last week. This is one I think they can take advantage of. And Kenneth Walker has to be good. They got to be able to establish a run. I think they can. And I think what's interesting is, wasn't Raheem Morris in L.A., right? Calling plays on defense when Geno was the quarterback in Seattle. So I kind of wonder how that plays out. Like, how well does Raheem think he knows Geno, and how did Geno perform? Maybe you could pull up some of those statistics from those games. Somebody could do that while we're breaking this down. How did Geno fare against Raheem Morris defenses in LA? But as I get to Atlanta, I think everything centers around the health of Reek Woolen. If Reek Woolen is up in this game, it's huge. He's a huge matchup for London. Like I talk about longer guys on Drake London, it negates some of his kind of skill set that separates him. And when Joey Porter Jr. week 1 was lined up opposite him, I thought that was a good look. Reek Woolen's one of the most elite guys in the league. He's barely thrown at. I think he's been thrown at 13 times this year for 6 catches. That's silly. We've got some damn good corners in our game right now, and a lot of them are big guys. Okay, Surtain, big guy. Reek Woolen, big guy. Jalen Ramsey, who's not targeted a ton when he's up right now, even at this stage in his career, is a long guy. Like he's built with. So having a long corner really helps in general, but it helps this week. And Trey Brown's questionable. Rayshawn Jenkins, who they got from Jacksonville, he was in a cast last week. I don't think I think he tried to give it a go. And I think they probably said, hey, man, like the tackling is an issue with this club on your hand. And like we need somebody in there and get guys down in the secondary. So they put him on IR. They're going to pair him with Julian Love's going to pair with Wallace. And maybe Kobe Bryant plays nickel. But whatever it is, it's a shit show. Like it is an absolute shit show in the secondary for the Seattle Seahawks. And so for a team that just threw for 500, Kirk Cousins back there, shot putting the ball out of a pocket. That's going to be the question for me is who plays in the secondary for Seattle. They traded for Roy Robertson Harris, okay, who actually has had a really nice career. I think the Nielsen addition for Jacksonville has not paid off at all, but it hasn't paid off for the front. They got Eric Armstead playing outside. People are calling for his head. Roy Robertson Harris, maybe frees Armstead up to go back inside. But whatever it is, Seattle made the trade because they've had trouble in the run game. And they also made the trade because Byron Murphy's been hurt, and I think he might come back, which would be a big deal. But it's always good to have as many guys in the interior as you can have. They have Leonard Williams there, the whole thing. I think the problem in the run game, because they have struggled in the run game, is pretty clear to me. I watched all their explosive runs. Seattle fans know what I'm talking about. It's the linebackers. It's definitely the guys up front sometimes, but it's also the linebackers. It's Dodson. It's Baker. These guys, especially on runs up the middle, look lost. I don't know how else to say that. Like, I never played the position, but I can tell you what it looks like when guys don't fit things right. And they are not fitting looks right. I mean, we're talking about inside runs where, guys are running the opposite direction of where to fit. And, Baker's a good runaround guy, but when you talk about, like, fitting the run, Mike McDonald last year goes from having Queen and Roquan Smith to having Dodson and Baker. That's a big deal. And so it's hard for me to hold Mike McDonald accountable for the way this group looks at times, because the personnel, there are some real holes in this thing. I think they're going to be better at some point, but until they can fix the backer problem, and what can you do when you have bad backers? You can move the front. So I think this has got to be a game. Now, they're going to run a lot of outside zone where you've got to move the front a little bit and you've got to bring some pressure, but you have to be careful, and these guys got to fit things right because they have not done so thus far. And then the defense, the first 3 games, giving up 14.3 points a game. Last 3 games, 35.7 points a game. So things they've come down to earth a little bit. And I am worried about the team, the win total.
Geno Smith, 2-3 in his career against a Raheem Morris-led defense.
How did he perform?
7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Kind of down the middle.
Yeah.
That's kind of pedestrian numbers for Geno.
Yeah, like 63% completion rate.
Yeah.
And 2 of those losses, you got to win in overtime in 2023, the 2022 season. Lost by 1 last year. Got blown out twice, and then another tight win, 27-23.
So it's going to be a good one. I mean, I really do think it's going to be a good one. I think Seattle's catching 3 points on the road. Like, I really don't know what to do on the side, but I do think it's going to be a fun game. I do. And again, Seattle coming off an extra rest. They got their asses kicked by Detroit, and then they had the Detroit hangover, right? And then they played the Niners. And so it's been a rough stretch for them. They had 3 games in 11 days. So I look for them to hopefully rebound if you're a Seattle fan.
Have we analyzed the rebound to the Detroit hangover?
I don't think we have yet.
Okay. We'll get
I don't think we have.
Guys on that.
But I'm sure somebody will soon. All right. Jets and the Steelers, the final game of our Big Five, as I'll put it.
Shout out to Justin Fields.
Shout out Justin Fields for being a pro and taking it on the chin and saying, hey, like, the fact that I'm not playing this weekend, or maybe not playing, it's my fault. I didn't play well enough. If I played better, I'd play.
Speaking the truth.
And I love the kid for that.
Yep.
I do. I think it also speaks to something. I don't think he would have said that last year in Chicago. I don't want to pigeonhole him, but I think sometimes when you're in a situation where you can trust, at least you trust the people, right? When I was a player, I don't care what the coach does or says as long as I can trust the coach.
Yep.
As long as I can trust the situation I'm in. I'll never forget when I was injured, playing hurt, and Greg Williams, I told this story before, I went up to his office, and I was a shadow of myself. But I was trying to play. And sometimes when you're in it, your ego, which you need to have as a football player, or else you don't survive, you got to tell yourself, you got to convince yourself that because you're doing the best you can, that it's good enough. And sometimes it's not. And for me, walking up to Greg Williams' office and saying, like, hey, listen, like, where am I right now? And him saying, hey, Chris, I love you when you're healthy. I love, you're a dog. But right now, that guy is not in the building, and it's unfair to the other guys to play you. and to have you run out of the tunnel. And you know what? I trust Greg Williams. So I walked back downstairs and I went about the rest of my season. And I tried to do the best I could to help the team. I think when you trust a coach, it allows you to move on. It allows you to just say, hey, like, take it on the chin and move on. And I think in this situation, Justin Fields is saying, hey, if I don't play this weekend, maybe there'll be another opportunity. But whatever this situation is, I had a hand in creating it. And he did. He missed some throws last week. And I think Pittsburgh probably looks at it like, you know, we could have lost that game. They really could have. I mean, there were 4 or 5 penalties that took points off the board, basically, and swung the outcome of the game for the Raiders in the Steelers' direction. I think Mike knows that, and I think at 4-2, I said initially when I heard they were going to make the switch, I said, well, maybe it's gamesmanship. Okay, you're getting ready for a big wild card implication game. It really is. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't care if it's early. You're going to look back at this game, and it could be a tie-break situation. But, like, I think Mike, on the surface, should be really happy with 4-2. But when you look at this team, maybe they should be better. And, like, as a Justin Fields fan and somebody who I think eventually he's a guy in this league, but he's missing a couple throws, especially on the run, which a little bit of is, hey, the Steelers, you know, be careful what you wish for, because you could get Russ and he might throw he might access the middle of the field better. He might throw you he might hit your gimmies better. He might run the offense a little better. He might run play action better, which I think is a big part of it possibly. Mm-hmm. When you look at how they have not been able to access the play action part of the passing game, and they haven't been able to access the middle of the field. Maybe it's those things, but one thing you're not going to get is with an offensive line that just for the first time played 2 weeks in a row fully intact. They lost Frazier last week, and I think McCollum came in for him and did a pretty good job, but like, Justin gets them out of a lot of trouble too, and he wasn't turning the ball over. So Russ, if he plays, absolutely can't turn the ball over. And I think more than anything, I read this last night. This is really interesting. I'll do some more attribution. Okay, this is where are my notes? This is like a 1 a.m. note situation, but I was on Steelers Depot. Okay, and they had a really interesting article about the lack of targets that the rest of the wide receivers have. Like, George Pickens is getting all the balls. I think it was some crazy number. I'm pissed that I can't find it, but you go on Steelers Depot and check this out. Like, the wide receivers combined aren't getting as many touches as George Pickens.
It's because of Pickens' pregame pep talk with Justin Fields.
Yeah, he's always fucking open.
Always open.
George has 44.
Yep.
Calvin Austin, 17. Van Jefferson, 13. Scotty Miller, 2. I mean, that's 32.
32 to 44.
Wow.
So when you're talking about 32, 33 targets for your wide receivers at large outside of George Pickens, that tells me that Fields likes to go to Pickens. Okay, you should. But he's not accessing the other areas of the field, and he's not hitting the other receivers. So as bad as I want to say, hey, it's unfair, it is fair for them to give Russell Wilson a look, because why else did you bring him in? And if it doesn't look good, you got a guy that can win you football games in Justin Fields. And maybe at some point this year, somebody sends something over for one of these guys. I doubt that's the case. Like, looking at the way I would think about this season for the Steelers, this is a team where it's not like you have a great quarterback and a backup. It's you got two guys who have different skill sets, and you want to keep your options open, in my opinion. And I don't mind them looking at Russell. So I don't think it's an okey doke. I don't think it's some gamesmanship. I really think they're looking at starting Russell, and he might start.
Why don't people trust Mike Tomlin's choices? Like, why hasn't he like proven over time he's the longest tenured coach? Like, wouldn't you respect that record in him time after time showing that he can win and make the right decisions for his team? I think he deserves a little bit of leeway. As much I like Justin Fields, and I could make a case why he should play, it's a young season right now. And we're talking about one weekend. Nothing is set in stone, obviously, as it pertains to the Steelers quarterback position, because they're making a change at 4-2. Mm-hmm. So they could undo this change just as easy. Yeah.
So I don't want to overreact, and I want to give Tomlin the benefit of the doubt. Here's the thing. Everybody in this chat and everybody in this room, I don't care how smart we all are and how much we watch the games, We are not, 1, out on the practice field, so we don't know what Russ looks like. We are not, 2, in the meetings, so we don't know what kind of things they're not able to access and some of the shortcomings, like play action pass, like areas of the field. And you talk about Omar Gadet, or guy in the chat says Pickens is the only one who does anything. What the fuck is the rest of them doing? Calvin Austin's open. Okay, like he's open a good bit. Like, God, you've got 2 tight ends. I want to hit those people. So we'll see, man. Like, I think the bigger story of the game is New York's offense, right? Like, that's what half the chat wants us to get to, is like the Davante Adams trade. I did a video on it this week earlier. You guys can tell me what you think, but when I took it from the player's perspective, and I said this plenty of times, I don't know that I would have gone to New York. I would have tried to be Amari Cooper and go to Buffalo, or go to, Washington or something like that. I don't know that Aaron Rodgers is going to play a long time, and you're 31 years old. Maybe you're looking at it like, I don't know if I'm going to play a long time and I want to go out with my buddy. But if your buddy's only going to be there for another 12 weeks, or your buddy's only going to be there for another year after this, at some point you're going to be a 32-year-old man going on 33, catching the ball from the next installment of Zach Wilson. And, that worries me from a player standpoint. But if you're trying to burn the ships, and if you're the Jets, I understand why they make the move. Everybody's on borrowed time. There's no guarantee you have a job at the end of the season. If you're Joe Douglas, if you're Jeff Ulbrich, you're just taking marching orders. And if you're Aaron Rodgers, they're so far down the road on letting him play GM. And I don't care what he said on McAfee. Again, I don't think he's an axe murderer for saying it. But come on, like, you have a say in this thing. And he got what he wanted. And now, as Ryan Fitzpatrick pointed out on Twitter, like the people that you can blame in that organization are getting crossed off. And there's only a few more fingers to point. Aaron's one of them. Todd Downing's now one of them. The defense, Joe Douglas, they're all on the list.
Nathaniel Hackett, obviously not.
Nathaniel Hackett's been crossed off. Okay, and maybe he is the guy you could blame, because I think Todd Downing looked better, and that's evidence as to why you make this trade. Okay, I don't think this makes them a Super Bowl contending team, because I still think you have to be able to stop the run. That's something they can't do. Like, nobody's going to come to the rescue on that thing. I watched that first drive the other night with the 24-year-old rookie running back, and I don't watch college football, but I never heard of the guy. I know he's at Kentucky and some other places. Okay, 24 years old. Nobody knew he was going to play a big role in the game, but Aaron Cromer and that offensive line kicked their ass, okay, like in the run game. And that's not the first team to do it. And my other concern about this thing for the Jets is you fire Saleh, okay, so your defensive head coach is gone. Jeff Ulbrich is a great coach, but now he's got the headset on. And people assume that defenses just play themselves. There's a lot of game planning, attention to detail, coaching that goes into preparing a team for a game week to week. And now your defensive guy, one of them's fired, the other has a headset on. So how does the defense perform? Is Reed up or down? There are a lot of questions I have about this defense. And yes, I think this offense is going to be hell to deal with on 3rd and medium. You think about, I saw this the other day, Taron Johnson walks up to try to press Garrett Wilson. I'm kind of stuck on this picture in my head, but this is what it's going to look like. If your best guy's on Davante and Garrett's in the slot somewhere, or you can pick the matchup and you want to man up because it's 3rd and medium, and maybe you're playing robber or whatever you're playing, that you're going to have a one-on-one with this guy. And this guy wins one-on-ones. I think he's a legit number 1 receiver. And Davante, is going to come in and cut into his reps a little bit, but it's also going to open up some things where they can pick their matchups. Look how good Lazard looks sometimes when he catches the ball from Aaron Rodgers. Look how bad Mike Williams looks sometimes when he's not running the right route, or when you got to go to him in a game-winning situation. That should tell you how good Davante Adams could look, and how nice it will be to get guys off the field who do not know to run on the right side of the red line. It's addition by subtraction, and it's addition by addition, right? Yeah. And so I think this is a big deal for them. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to protect Aaron Rodgers. Listen, this group here can get after Aaron Rodgers. Highsmith's coming back. The Buffalo Bills are not a premier rush team, and A.J. Epinesa went nuts the other night on Tyron Smith, who's given up like 5-6 sacks on the season. Okay, John Simpson, as much as I like him, is not a pass protector. Okay, the guy with the mullet is not an all-world pass protector. Okay,
Joe Tippmann.
You know, they put the rookie in Fashanu. He had trouble. Morgan Moses is older. So, like, they have to major in quick game, which can be a very, very frustrating thing for a defense. And this week, they have to throw the ball around TJ Watt, who's one of the most ball-aware guys in the NFL. And I think if you're the Steelers, one of the main points you're going to come into this game with is get your hands up. We're going to knock some of these balls down because they're going to go quick game. And they're going to try to stay in third and medium. And in third and medium, I don't care who you are, this offense is going to be tough to deal with. So it's going to be exciting to see what they look like. They had more motion. They ran less gap scheme stuff, which I think fits their group more zone run. It was a good start under Todd Downing. This is going to be a fun game.
I think Aaron Rodgers may have lost some of the locker room. And I think that's going to be something interesting to see what happens. But I don't think everyone agrees with how he went about the Mike Williams situation.
Not everybody agrees.
And, like, you got to think about you being in a locker room with guys. There's guys who are really close with Mike Williams. And, like, you don't feel right about that. Like, dude, like, you don't call a guy out in the media. And then it comes out after that now he's up to be traded, and like you might have had something to do with that. So I feel like guys might right now feel a little iffy about even playing.
Well, it's got to work. It's got to work.
Like
Sunday, we better win. And if we don't win Sunday,
it's a dumpster fire.
Bro,
it's going to be a dumpster fire quick. It's going to start lighting up and catching fire quick because
it's going to smell like garbage.
Like hot garbage, bro. Hot
it's on fire.
Yes. Because honestly, think about if you're in that locker room and Mike Williams is one of your best friends. Say if Garrett Wilson is his best friend.
And now Garrett Wilson's like, hey, my targets are getting cut into. Mike Williams is
bro. Like,
my buddy.
You know what I'm saying? Like our wives are friends and they hang out, and now he's gonna have to get traded out of here. It's like stuff like that.
But it's not as big a deal as winning.
No,
okay?
It's not.
But
winning
it does
everything.
Create a little bit of a buzz, and I get it. And part of the reason I can go off on Rodgers about going off on his teammate is like, number one, Mike Williams ultimately with the game on the line has to.
That ball was underthrown.
But not if he's in the right spot. It's not, and I'm not. I'm not Rodgers fanboy.
No, I hear you.
But I'm just being real, okay. And part of the reason I don't want to go in on Rodgers doing this is because at least I understand this, and it's not a lie, okay. Like the other thing about like, hey, I don't make the decisions here. That's bullshit, okay. This thing's at least true. Now, plenty of players have come out and said you shouldn't do this. It's not my place to every week sit here and because once you start critiquing Rodgers every week. Then people start the victim mentality of his fan base, which is a big victim mentality thing. It's like everybody's always trying to get Rodgers. No, we're not. We're really not. And in this situation, I don't mind him telling the truth as much as I minded him lying last week about, the way things operate in that building. Listen, it's fine to say that, but now all these miscommunications have to get squared, dude. Like, we can't have any more he was in the wrong place, because eventually it just comes back on you.
Dumpster fire.
Right? But I think this is going to be a hell of a game. I'm looking forward to this game.
Russell Wilson's 3-4 in his career against Aaron Rodgers. And I just got a feeling he's going to make it 500. Yeah. He's 4-4.
You think
I think the Steelers get the win.
What Devontae was best at in Green Bay with Aaron was you could try to jam him, and his feet were so quick, even at the line, that he could get around you without you getting your hands on him. So if they're going to have to go quick and get it out quickly, Tay's a pretty damn good fit.
It's hard to press him. It's hard to be on top, because they're going to go back shoulder. He's going to help the quick game. He's going to help the screen game. You think about like
and
kind of
Downing got Brees going last week.
But the Bills are little.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a different group, especially on the edge. These guys, the edges are going to be strong.
So we're all in agreement that the hamstring thing is just bullshit.
Oh, obviously.
Yep.
Oh, okay, so his hamstring is perfect. So we're okay.
It's like butter.
Okay.
He's a full participant this week, Nate.
Okay.
Full participant.
It's the meme with the dog with the broken legs who's like crawling and then running.
That was the best meme.
That's the best one. It's very true.
Chris, you mentioned DJ Reed. Neither he nor Michael Carter, who they missed last week, especially in the red zone against the Bills.
Yep.
Have practiced this week. And then on the Steelers side, Nick Herbig has yet to practice.
Yep. Yeah, I don't expect him
they're going to get Highsmith back.
Highsmith coming back is a big one. Highsmith's coming back. But the number 2 cover guy on the Steelers team worries me, whoever they decide that it is. That really worries me. You know, if you're the Steelers, like, you got to figure out a way. It's not as much the number 1, because whoever you decide to try to take away, you can do that. You know, maybe you do the Belichick thing where you double the number 1 and then you put Joey Porter on the number 2. But I think then you're looking at a matchup deal where Garrett Wilson is kind of, I don't know. I'm not a DB, but I feel like Wilson's a little shifty.
185.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and after Nate pees, I'm going to want to do that too.
Cool.
Because I am a hydrated joker.
Go together, Cowboy, and I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, we can do our reasons to watch the Eagles and Giants.
Fuck you. You're trying to get me out of the room. Yeah. Well,
Kick us off. Reasons to watch Eagles and Giants.
Oh, well, I was going to go to London first, but I'll do Eagles and Giants.
Saquon.
Okay, Saquon homecoming, right? I don't think they boo him.
Saquon these nuts.
I don't think they boo him.
I lifted that one. It's not
I don't think they boo him.
I don't think they do either.
You're a Giants fan.
No, love Saquon.
If the Giants boo Saquon, and I know that fans don't like hearing players tell them what to do, especially players from other teams, but like you are a laughing stock if you boo Saquon.
Well, we got a peek behind the curtain with Hard Knocks and the Joe Shane conversation.
Everybody knows. The guy didn't even necessarily want to leave. All you had to do was just take care of him and would have continued to play for your shitty team. But he left. Could you blame him?
I think that's your reason to watch John Mara, the shots of John Mara shooting daggers into Joe Shane during the game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just like, what the?
Yeah, if looks could kill.
Yep.
Now, I think this is a game where it comes down to who takes advantage of the injury at tackle better. I mean, it's Jordan Mailata's going to be down. Andrew Thomas has a Liz Frank, so he's out for the year, I believe. There's so many injuries, it's hard to keep track of. But the key to me is if you can get these edge guys blocked for the Eagles, I think you can roll. I really do. I think this is a game where like who is it going to be? Flop Banks? Like who's gonna cover AJ Brown? Who's gonna cover Devontae Smith? If they have time to operate, and one more plea to the Eagles. I'm Bernie Sanders right now. I am once again asking for quick game. Please, can we get a drive out of the gate where you don't just do this? Look how big we can be. Look how
is that a punt?
Yeah, it's basically like, fuck this possession. Who cares? Like, it's not that important. I know that everybody on the planet knows we haven't scored in the first quarter, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna try to do it in one play and show everybody. It almost feels like they want to show everybody how fast they can do it. Nah, I need like a 7-minute drive where Saquon gets the ball 6 times and you get the tight ends involved. I don't know if Goddard's back or not. Is Goddard up or down?
Dallas Goddard's got the red Q.
He's got the red Q.
How many tush pushes?
Not in practice yesterday.
How many tush pushes during the 7-minute drive?
Well, hey, listen, I'd much rather see a tush push than drop back against a 0 blitz and then the next play get a field goal block. So I just would love for you guys to come out, Eagles, and go quick game, hit a crosser, hit a pivot route, fucking throw a screen, get Saquon on the perimeter. Not everything has to be gun run. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but at some point I'm going to ask who's calling the plays offensively if it continues to look like this.
Nate, do you have a reason to watch this game, a matchup?
Saquon Barkley, to see Saquon Barkley torch his old team, 3+ touchdowns, I'm thinking.
3+.
Say again?
We talked about it while you were gone. The John Mara, Joe Shane shooting daggers into each other's eyes. It's going to be tough.
Oh, no, yeah, it is going to be. And then just if they have him on camera, if they have John Mara on camera and Saquon has a game I think he's going to have, that's going to be entertainment in itself.
Do you think he gets booed? Saquon gets booed by the Giants fans?
No.
He wasn't expecting to.
They can't.
Here's the deal. They're only daggers being thrown if it's a loss, and Jalen Hurts is 7-15 against the spread as a road favorite. Tyrone Tracy had a big game against Seattle. He played fine against Cincy. Dime's got it going on the ground against Cincy. It's only going to be a problem if they lose, and I don't know that they lose necessarily. It's the running back position, after all. As beloved as he was, Tyrone Tracy's getting it done.
Getting it done.
No, it's not about Saquon. The reason the team's losing is not because they don't have Saquon. The reason they're losing is because they have Daniel Jones. At this point, like it kind of is what it is, isn't it? I mean, he's always going to leave you wanting more, which is a harsh reality. Like, as a defensive player, you can make a career in the NFL not being great. You know, you can be a rotational guy. You can be a sub backer. You could be a box safety. You could be a run stopping D tackle, but you can't be a quarterback who does some things okay and then the rest of them not good enough.
For sure. The Cincy game's there for the taking, and it's strange to think that maybe with Malik Neighbors or even Kayvon, two of your most talented players, you could be a 500 team. You could be a game back of the division lead.
It's a mindfuck.
Yeah.
It really is. Because I do think you guys are a tough out, as evidenced by some of the games this year. They muddied it up for the Commanders, muddied it up for Cincinnati. I mean, you played a few other teams.
I think this will be similarly muddy.
You think it's going to be just like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's going to be so I'm going to take the Eagles in the locks today.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Speaking of
I'm staying away.
You're not trick fucking
staying
me
away
here.
from that one.
Speaking of Daniel Jones, real fast, did you see the rumor that Matthew Stafford was being targeted by the Giants as a trade piece, and they were trying to fit Daniel Jones in, and that's what was holding it up?
Oh, yeah. Now, the Matt Stafford thing was – seeing that mashup was interesting.
Yeah.
Because Stafford, to me, until he's like 42 years old, like if he called the Lions like I called the Lions, yeah, you can come back and play. Guy's got a jugs machine on his shoulder. And you know, I think somebody like that could make you better. But that seems like a fantasy land deal.
Yeah.
Do you really think the Giants are that all in this year?
It's just tough to think.
I don't think their roster is in a place where, like, over the next 2 years they could win a Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that D-line is
really D-line's strong. Great.
But the problem is, though, you're trying to fit Daniel Jones is you know, sending him to the team trading Matthew Stafford.
If it was a quarterback that had
when they won the Super Bowl, the D-line was and
38-year-old, 37-year-old, 36-year-old Stafford or Eli, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Stafford's got some damn good ball left in him. I don't know how long that run is, but I think if it was a quarterback that wasn't 36, it's a no-brainer. But like the you know, trading for an older guy, that's usually left to like the Tampa Bays of the world or the Denver Broncos of the world, like where it feels like you have a championship kind of roster. And, you know, like, while I love the guys up front for them, I do think there's enough holes in this roster where, like, you sell out. Are you really going to be that team, you know, over the next year or two? I don't know.
Want to go to London now?
I do.
Patriots and
G'day,
Jaguars. Mate. Is this we've talked about it. Doug Peterson's still in the squad. He is not back stateside before the team.
You can't kill him.
Can't kill him.
Body clock all adjusted.
Yeah. He's basically British.
Yep.
Yeah, the team is British. It's a home game for them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
This is going to be I think the Jags, who are laying 6. Talk about disrespect, dude. The disrespect. Why do you want to watch this game? I want to watch this game because there's nothing more fun in the NFL. Not fun, but nothing more real in the NFL than watching a team whose back is against the wall. Coaching staff, the whole thing. Because I've been there many times through many coaching changes and many, like, hey, if we lose this game, everybody's getting fired except for like the first round draft pick or, you know, some of the guys who have bigger contracts. And so, like, I've seen this before, and it is high drama. It is. When you saw Doug walking off the field last week after the first half with a microphone in his face, I said this earlier in the week, there's questions of whether Doug lost the locker room. I think the locker room lost Doug a little bit too. Like Doug is just some of the things that are happening on the field. Like he can't catch that ball in the end zone. He's Evan Ingram fumbles the ball at the half. That's not Doug. Now some things Doug is doing really poorly, and one of them is like the commitment to keeping Taylor around this long. I don't know when he's going to say, hey, it's my job to call the plays now. But, like, the time is running out for that. If they don't win this game, to me, it's a pretty sure thing. And I also think the Jacksonville, hey, look at this stadium we're going to build, was like, hey, look over here. Mm-hmm. Which also means they're probably not moving to London. You know? We thought for a long time they might do this thing where they play half the season over there, half the season here. They live in Florida. They live in London. That would have been stupid. But they're not going to do it. It doesn't look like it. They got a new stadium with a giant moon roof, a big glass ceiling.
And Trevor's name's on it.
Do you know why I'm not watching?
Why?
The humidity is going to kill that.
Maximum speed.
The fog up, yeah.
Brian Thomas has hit maximum speed of all receivers at 22.15 miles per hour this year. I could not care any less about the frickin' speedometers on these NFL.
Really?
Players. Does not move me at all.
Really?
Yeah, not one bit.
Oh, I love it because it puts it in perspective for me because I can imagine cars.
Well, I had that thought too, and then I moved on from it.
You moved right on.
Like, okay, like I'm familiar with the 25 mile an hour
Can I interest
speed
you in
limit.
Joe Flacco running 17 though?
19, closer to
19.
18
See, like no.
something.
Everybody's between 17 and 22. Cool. Got it.
The big guy, Kayleen Sanders, was like 15.6.
I
He was
just
barely
don't
speeding in
care.
the school zone. I care. I love the
But
fucking. You know what I talked to? Hey,
Brian Thomas, good player.
you know he is good player. You know what I talked to Joe Flacco about in the interview, which is coming up in a little bit. I was going to save this for the Colts breakdown, but like, who gives a shit? I'll figure something else to talk about with Dolphins and Colts. This Joe Flacco interview, I love it. I don't love a lot of the stuff we do. I mean, I know y'all do, but like, I kind of hate myself. I really do. You find somebody that hates themselves more than me. Find somebody that hates Chris Long more than Chris Long hates Chris Long.
Not possible.
Not possible. Okay. This interview is fun. And Joe is a guy in my draft class. And so every time I run into Joe, it's kind of like when you all came from the same place, there's a like kind of a, even if you don't hang out, it's like a kinship, but like class of 08, man. And when he popped on the Zoom, I felt like, man, I was like, man, it's been 17 years, bro. Like, what are you doing? I was like, can we just start the interview right now? Because I don't want any small talk. I just want to talk, on record to you, Joe. Like, I was so interested. And we booked that interview a couple days ago. Nice job, Matt. But by the time the interview was up, we heard Richardson was starting. Yeah. And so it was kind of like, but it didn't change fucking anything for me because I was so interested in talking to Joe Flacco. Part of it is because I'm so used to talking to young people now where, like, the players are so damn young and I can't really relate to these guys. And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? Like, if I were to have some rookie DB on, I'd be like, I don't even know if it's worth it. Like, I don't think I'm going to – but Joe is my age. And so I just love talking to him. And he's a guy that when he gets out of the NFL, Joe, blank check to come work here. Joe, blank check to come work for Greenlight. We can take over the world, dude.
Joe
We can take over the world, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need a Delco accent in the building, dude.
Oh yeah, need more of it.
Just
more
lean
Jersey
in.
Shore.
I think he's going to be great because he's just so real, man. So that's coming out right after this. Check that out. If you're disappointed by it, just keep it to yourself.
Thanks to Matt from the Colts.
Oh, you were thanking yourself.
No, different Matt. Common name.
Common name. Thanks to Joe. Also a common name. So the real reason, Najib Carter, I don't hate you, Chris, but I guarantee you I hate me thousands of times. No, we could have a great hate off, dude. A self-loathe off. Oh, I win, dude. I fucking win. I'm useless.
I thought I knew about self-loathing until I met you.
Right. Just hate. Just. Anyways, here we go. The reason you watch New England Jacksonville. I don't even know how you guys watch this fucking show. New England at Jacksonville. Drake May with a clean pocket. That's going to be fun. You know, my favorite analyst is the analyst this week that took a victory lap after he didn't die on the field. Was that? It's like so funny to me. I saw something with Louis Riddick too, doing a victory lap. Don't mind if I do. Guy didn't die. You know, he was only down for 16 seconds. I counted it. I had a little stopwatch. Danielle Hunter hit him, and I thought he was dead. I didn't know what was hurt on him. Turns out nothing was hurt for the moment. This is a much better, runway for this kid. You know, like
the donut's off the bat.
The donut is off the bat, dude. The donut theory might really work, but Vegas doesn't think so, which is a little bit disconcerting if you're a Pats fan. You know what? He's throwing to young guys. Osborne, Thornton, healthy scratches last week. Boutte, Pop Douglas, Bourne is your senior citizen there. But, I think it's interesting that Gerard Mayo, who obviously I love, another class of 08 guy, he's coaching the Patriots. Joe's fucking still playing the NFL. We're doing a live show. All right. But Mayo has done a great job, whether or not I agree with the decision last week, of making decisions. Just make the decision. So often for a young coach, you deal with the Matt Judon thing. Here's a rusher who's upset, who's a really good player, who wants out. And, instead of kissing his ass or trying to make it work, you just make the decisive decision. You send him down to Atlanta and you start the clock on the future. Benching these two guys, Osborne, Thornton, hey, we need guys that are doing the right things, being decisive about that, being decisive about, okay, right now I want to play Drake May, even if I disagree. That's worked out. So, because he's alive, right? So he lives to fight another day, and this week he's going to play the Jaguars, who cannot rush the passer, except for a guy named Trayvon Walker. All right, remember this. Jags are going to be a yard sale here. They already started selling pieces. Roy Robertson Harris already in Seattle. There are guys like Evan Ingram. Nolan made a good point. Evan Ingram, Kansas City. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yep.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Contract's affordable.
But they're in desperation mode to avoid the yard sale. I think some of the players probably hope it's a yard sale. I think some of the players are probably I want to go where Roy Robertson Harris went. Where did he go on that airplane? Can I get on one of those airplanes? You know what I mean? That can be what it's like on one of these teams. So, now, the poll in the chat is, will Doug survive the trip home from London even if the Jags win? I don't think they're going to. Well, I don't know. Because maybe to Nate's point, they didn't want to axe him in another country. Maybe it's a rule.
Taxes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Also, too, if you got fired in a different country, would they be responsible for your travel back?
Yes.
Hey, yeah, they should be.
I don't think it's an extradition situation.
I'm just saying.
Extradition?
If you're fired... You're fired.
They probably do have to fly you back. Now, do they put you on
that's what I'm saying.
Emirates?
Or they're not going to put you first class.
Oh, I think they're going to put you first class.
Someone they just fired?
You think they're going to put Doug Peterson in coach?
Also too, if I fired you and I don't know I'm firing you, how many first class tickets do you think they are leaving?
You don't think they can find a single first-class ticket from London to the States?
With a bunch of people from the States that are there to see these games, and say if it happened right after the games, I'm thinking flights for the next week coming back, it might be slim to find a first class.
Let me make sure I never work for you. Because you're not flying the coach back first class.
I'm just saying, if you fly him back and you want to do it right away, am I gonna spend?
Matt Ross said, "What if
$7,000 to fire you to find you a ticket?"
Matt Ross said, "Yeah, he's Shad Khan." Okay, some fucking guy stole a couple mil from him gambling in the down in his right. I mean, he's not even feeling that. They didn't even notice. You run a business where a guy's laundering hundreds of thousands of dollars, you don't even notice? You're not going to fly your coach back? Okay, Matt Roth, facts, you have lost your mind from Cody Hanshaw. This is an all-time take, facts. I'm trying to go up to where Matt Ross. Matt Ross said, "What if they put him on a biplane? What if they put him on like a container ship?
Oh
Right.
man.
Hey Doug, we don't have any tickets. There's so many fans of the NFL here in London that flew here, and they got to fly back. We can't get you a flight for a couple of months. We want to put you on this
Bunch of dehumidifiers and boxes.
we want to put you on this Japanese fucking container ship.
And that might not even be good either.
A fucking
They just
a
had-
fucking
they
big
just had a
container
strike.
with like Mandarin on the side of it pulls up and it goes bong and Doug walks off like where are you? You're in the port of Miami. We got you a fucking taxi to Jacksonville.
Port of Miami.
It's week 14.
It's week 14, bro. He's like Rip Van Winkle. They drug him. They fucking shoot him in the neck with a fucking tranquilizer and put him in a container ship. He wakes up 5 weeks later. Facts. That was a great take.
We're gonna see what happens. I just always wonder that type of stuff.
I would send Doug back first class, man.
Because they don't do that with players.
No, they don't.
You don't-
You know what?
Like,
That's a good
I'm just
point.
saying,
but they
like,
would fly a player back first class, I think, if they cut him.
That's not true at all.
From London? It's extenuating circumstances.
That is.
How do you
that
think
is
they
different.
flew?
But no, I don't think so, bro. Like
You might be right about the player thing.
I just think about it for like a call, like a
the
money,
inequity
like
here.
a money thing. If we're cutting you, like to cut ties with you, why would we be spending over such amount of money for a ticket home?
That's
What
when
kind-
you give him, you allow him to retain seat 1A on the team plane.
That's super awkward.
And that's awkward. Yeah.
Which is maybe why you wait to
You
fire
wait.
him until you get back, so you don't have to make these decisions. Okay. Didn't they make a movie about this? Tom Hanks on a FedEx plane during the holiday? Bro,
But what if
I don't
a
even want
coach,
to think about
has there
that.
ever been a coach like, so say if they lose and they get on the flight, they don't fire him yet.
What if Doug does get stranded on a...
But look,
All right.
we land in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
What if Doug's just like, you know what? Fuck it, I quit.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Right? How about I quit?
Hey, not bad, not bad. Somebody in the chat asked, Macon, maybe you can answer this question. Is this team worse than the St. Louis Rams teams that I played on?
Oh.
Bro, no chance.
It's got way more talent.
Yeah. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Tank could be a young Steven Jackson.
We had a Trayvon Walker.
Yep.
Okay. But we were 1-15, bro. We were like legit trying our best, playing the best we could, 1-15 on a year in a year out basis
Now,
for a little bit.
if
there.
the Pats beat this squad 45-7 in London, like they
Then
beat your 45-7 team, that's a problem.
But definitely more talented, to your point.
Yeah.
We did not have a Brian Thomas. We did not have an Evan Ingram. We did not have, and maybe that's the difference, is it's just this offense, man. You know, this offense got more talent than it should look like this. And that ultimately comes down to the head coach. So you watch your mouth, Jake Thornton. Peterson better than Jeff Fisher. You guys don't know. You guys don't know. You guys don't know the Jeff Fisher thing. You don't understand the Jeff Fisher thing. You wouldn't understand. You just wouldn't understand. Also, Fish got to a Super Bowl. You know, what's different? Mike Jones doesn't make that tackle. Who?
Mike Jones.
If Mike Jones doesn't make that tackle, that has nothing to do with how he was coaching. He has a ring. You know what I'm saying? All right. St. Louis
Bills.
team was tough to watch. St. Louis team was tough to play on, brother. I have mental health issues that are definitely from that. Like, serious. I just learned to go to sleep. Like, in the last 2 weeks of my life. Okay? I've been an insomniac my whole life. It only got worse when I got there. Okay.
Titans, Bills.
Titans, Bills.
Bills 9-point favorites.
I think the whole reason you watch this game, there was a troubling trend where Josh Allen does not cover lines of more than four points at a high click. I think I saw that in the
8-17-1 against the spread.
Not good. Okay. Now the line is 9. Okay, and that says something about my Titans. Okay, but I'm going to stay away here. The reason I'm going to watch the game is not betting my kink, the Titans, because obviously the Bills are on the other side. I don't bet against the Bills. Amari Cooper.
Yep.
Okay, what does he bring to the table? I think, number one, they came out of that, I said that this week, and we really said it after the game, like you come out of that Ravens game, and when people lock the middle of the field down and, they can man you up, you got to have an answer outside the numbers, and it can't just be Coleman. I like Coleman a lot, and I think he's going to be a hell of a player, but you could use another guy, and what you get is separation. This guy creates separation as good as anybody. He's one of the best route runners in the game. You see him making people fall down. I know he's dropped the ball a couple times this year, but let's remember where he's coming from and who's been throwing him the ball. It's kind of like they said Calvin Ridley had 8 targets last week. He did not have 8 targets last week. That is a very liberal way to use the word. Define targets, okay? Like, seriously. Yeah. I've seen, like...
But he's the other reason to watch. It's the 2 receivers. It's Amari and
that's
Calvin
exactly,
Ridley.
I mean, yeah, more so Amari.
Agreed, but
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this offense looks like because for a long time he had Diggs, and he's a legit number 1, right? So is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is just a guy I got a lot of respect for. I mean, he has played in obscurity for most of his career, including in Dallas, because they weren't very fucking good, in my opinion. Like, just the hopelessness of that Dallas carnival, and then you go to a different kind of carnival in Cleveland. It's a dark comedy in Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. And the fact that he had to catch the ball from Deshaun Watson for any amount of time and got teased with the Joe Flacco thing where I said this last year, they played the most beautiful ball game of catch, which I talked to Joe Flacco about today. His eyes lit up when he remember that game. But, it's just like he's had all these little moments where you're like, maybe my career is going to turn out the way I want it to, not individually, but as a guy on a team that wins. And then to get the rug swept out from under you, thinking you're getting Houston, Deshaun, and Cleveland, and then this year they dangle you in a trade, and then you're out here just like catching the ball from Mr. Juergens, and it's hell. It's hell, dude. That's hell. Mm-hmm. And so for him to get this get out of jail free card, maybe best flight of the week, him heading up to Buffalo to catch the ball from QB2 globally, okay, in my opinion. And I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be good for the Bills, and it's going to be good for Amari Cooper. Now, Cook is still down? Do we know?
I think he still is a questionable.
It's turf toe. You got to be careful, man. You got to be careful with that thing.
You got Ray Davis.
You got Ray Davis, 24 years old. He's ready.
Looks like Cook was updated to full participant.
Oh, good. Just be careful. Just be careful.
Ray Davis got a calf.
Ray Davis got a calf?
Ray Davis got a calf.
Well, it's not a game that I expect them to lose, but this Tennessee defense is I want to give Denard Wilson his props for the way he's gotten these guys to play. I think they're pretty good.
I'd like to announce what jersey number Amari will be wearing in Buffalo.
Oh, can we guess?
Sure. I'll remind you that in Oakland or wherever the hell, it was 89. In Cleveland, it was 2. In Dallas, it was 19.
I think he's going to look at what's available.
45.
No, come on. What? Can you tell me the available numbers? I don't want to cheat.
Yeah, don't cheat. Don't let him cheat.
I'm not cheating. I'm not looking.
Take that off, Matt.
I'm going to tell you what he's going to look best in. 6.
A 19.
Ooh, 6 would be nice.
Is he going to be in the single digits? No, single.
What's available?
12 is also available. 14,
I don't like 12.
15.
18
I don't like
is
him
available.
At 14. I think he might look cool in 18.
15.
I think he might look cool in 6. I think 15 in their
Marshall.
uniform doesn't look great.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Amari Cooper will wear the number 18.
18, man. I'm telling you. Multiples of 6
Love
for
it.
him. You know, I like that.
Peyton Manning.
18 looks pretty cool.
Can I ask you all a fantasy question real fast?
Sure.
This is just general fantasy, like proper ways to do things as a commissioner. Not our league, different league. We woke up a couple weeks ago to the commissioner saying you have an extra roster spot on Sunday.
Fuck off.
That happened.
Who said that?
We don't
in a different league.
Different league. Yeah. You don't
First question: why are you even playing fantasy football anymore? Who gives a fuck about fantasy?
Can you
football?
imagine caring about fantasy football?
Can you imagine another August where like I've got 50 million things to do? The kids are going back to school. I got 5 shows a week to prepare for, and 5 different people text you like, "Do you want to join this fantasy league?" In the future, don't text me. Nobody text me. I don't want to join the fantasy league. You don't want me in your fantasy league. I haven't set my lineup in a month. Maybe you do want me in your fantasy league.
Shout out Mike Sims Walker. That was my greatest fantasy moment when you had Mike
played
Sims
with him.
Walker. I know.
Yeah.
And he was on the Kenny Chesneys.
Yeah.
And you had him hold up a sign that said "Go Kenny Chesneys" when
Yeah.
he was
That
rostered
was cool.
on the Kenny Chesneys. That was the best fantasy moment there
That was
is.
super cool.
Yeah.
Mike Sims worked from the Jags.
Yeah.
That was my teammate.
That's
Yeah,
my homie,
dog.
dude. He was up in Philly for a second.
I seen him.
I was his general manager
2 weekends ago.
Really?
He was down there.
Down there with the Jags?
Yeah, he he's on what you call show now
Whose show?
with Brandon Marshall. He's on the
No way.
yeah.
Blank check, Mike Sims Walker.
Don't say
Whatever you want.
that. Brandon Marshall will come fight everyone in here, taking his guys.
You know what?
Yeah, Mike Sims. I seen him this weekend. He was looking at me like,
I played with him in St. Louis.
Yeah,
St.
dog.
Louis. I had it mixed up. I played with him in St. Louis. He was part of that 1-15 2011 team.
Cowboy, the answer is no.
damn.
You can't do that.
And then he
You
was
know
in
the
Jet-
answer.
Right.
No, he was
I
on-
just wanted to make sure. I'm not the commissioner of that league. It was ridiculous. There
Can't
were
do it.
2 posts in the league message board. They were not responded to by said
It's almost good
commissioner.
as Tommy Alter, your fucking commissioner. That sounds like something he would do. You know?
Next game on the slate, Bengals at Browns. What is our reason to watch this game?
oh, I know.
Well, honestly, I think it's going to be a good game.
It's Joe
It's Nick
not
Chubb.
being able to
I
beat
got
the
it.
Browns.
Chubb.
It's
I
Chubb.
got it,
You got Chubb.
Chubb.
It's Nick Chubb. It's Nick Chubb with fresh legs. It's Nick Chubb wrote that letter. Did I see a letter to City?
He did.
I mean,
Players Tribune.
that sums it up. You know, he means a lot to that place. I think eventually when you're a player that plays for a franchise like that, you accept your fate and you try to not die.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like it. It's like, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
I know we were having a lot of fun with the Crosby thing last week, the push.
Yeah.
But like where that comes from is like, this team's bad. I've been through so much shit, but I'm never going to let this dim my spirit.
Yeah.
And when I come off the field after making a play on a bad team, it's like a point of pride. There's nothing more defiant you can do in the face of losing than go out there and play your ass off. And that's what Nick Chubb's been doing his whole career. And so I think like the city appreciates him for it. And it's probably a point of pride. And I wondered out loud and I said, like, as a player, we probably wouldn't have said this, but as somebody who's not playing anymore, if you're Nick Chubb, do you want to come back and play for this team? You know what? Of course he does. Of course he does, because he takes pride in it. And his teammates light up when he walks in the room.
You know what else
What?
is going to happen? This is interesting.
Yeah.
I think that he's going to come back, and honestly, he's going to make that offense look good. And I think in turn of doing that, he's going to make Deshaun Watson
Look better.
good and look better. And
Is that possible?
That puts the Browns and the fans in just a different situation.
I don't think-
because if Nick Chubb can come back and the run game starts and the play action and they start moving the ball and winning a couple of games, now you're just like, oh,
We can't bench him.
we can't get rid of this guy. And then on top of it, has there ever been a situation where you might have one of the most likable people in the league on a team paired with one of easily the most disliked person in the league all on one team?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's happened.
But it's just
But it is a perfect example of that for sure. And they're in the same backfield.
same back. You can't one or the other. Like you can't get rid of it. And I think if Chubb,
You can't get rid of the Chubb. That's been his problem his whole life.
can't
Sean.
get rid of it.
In that article, he said after his injury, the only thing I could control was the work. As soon as I got out of my brace and got back on my feet, I was back in the gym. I'm not a guy who likes fancy trainers and gyms that look like a club or whatever. I always go back to where it all started, the Cedartown High weight room. Membership is cheap. They got a water fountain.
Cedartown, Georgia?
His high school. I think that was his high school, maybe. Or a high
Is he from Cedartown? Cedartown, Georgia?
He might be.
You know, there's a Waylon song called Cedartown, Georgia. Yeah. So
Cedartown, Georgia.
Yeah,
from Cedartown, Georgia.
Wow, dude, Cedartown, Georgia. I'll close the show with that song because that's a pretty good one. You know, it's before the Dixie Chicks wrote a song about killing their husbands. Waylon did one about killing his fictional wife, and it probably didn't go over as well. But I guess she had cheated on him and went to Cedartown, and she was at a like a no-tell motel with a guy, and he.
Oh, well.
I mean, like in that case.
I mean, Earl was beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
Way worse.
Way worse.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm happy for the guy, and I do think he's going to make it a game. I think the addition of Chubb in a game in the way that, like, the line is 6.5 or 7. I don't know if I'm going to touch that, but I do think the Bengals figure a way to win. Yeah, I think the Bengals figure a way to win, but I think this could be a pretty ugly one. And it's orange on orange.
And Burrow's 0-4 in Cleveland.
Yeah,
the guys,
it's gonna be weird.
The Bengals' wives are about to press the confirm on the trips to Mykonos.
Oh yeah,
the season.
I love how you've shifted the current landscape for eliminated team vacations to Greece.
I mean, I just feel like the guys on that team, they're like TikTok and social media guys, and like going to Mykonos is.
That sounds dope. The water's really blue. The houses are really white.
Yeah,
that's what I know about Mykonos.
We should send a loser of fantasy there.
That would actually motivate me to win. I don't want to go anywhere. All right. And the defense. You got to get Myles Garrett blocked. I do worry about Myles Garrett getting after one or both of those tackles.
Is he a future line?
No, he's a future Eagle.
I got it.
He's a future Eagle. I'm going to let him go play for the Eagles. I'll go play for the Lions.
You'll take that bullet for the Eagles.
Yeah, I'll take that bullet. No, but I do think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Cincinnati. If it's not, boy, are they not cooked. What if they win this weekend? What's the record?
3-4.
Oh, are they cooked at 3-4?
They're turning back into sushi.
Well, who told you they'd turn back into sushi? I feel like somebody in this room said that they would turn back into sushi.
They're on their way. They're on their way if they win. But if not, it's going downhill fast still.
Look at the last comment in the chat.
Man, it's gonna be good to see Nick Chubb back, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Panthers Commanders. Got something for watching this game?
Panthers Commanders. Yeah, his name's Jaden Daniels. And for the Commanders, I want to see how they handle. They're in a sandwich game, not a divisional sandwich, which is something you got to watch out for if you're a bettor. But they are in a sandwich between a big game against Baltimore and next week against the other rookie quarterback that you're going to want to prove, even though it doesn't matter who wins that game, that you got the best guy. Okay? And I just worry that they go to Carolina, this team that can get a little frisky, especially if your defense can't rush the passer and your defense is a little bit pedestrian, which they are. And by the way, they lost one of their stud D tackles to IR. Okay? I think the bigger conversation coming to this game might be, like I said earlier, J.C. Horn, Chase Young, Granderson, whoever it is, like we have to add some pieces to this defense. Otherwise, you are leaving money on the table in a year where you have a rookie quarterback deal guy in year one. And this is the thing. We always talk about this like year 2, 3, 4 of a rookie quarterback's rookie deal. Start now. It's very rare that you're so sure about a guy this early and the team is in a place where, like for most teams picking the top 5, you're never in a position year one to be like, hey, should we be buyers? Like you might not have gone into the season thinking you should be buyers, but now, you know, what would you say if it was year 3? You'd say, hey, we got to build around this guy. You get one shot at this guy on a rookie deal. I think you got to make at least one move on defense. And so I think, you know, Washington's got to watch out. They're in the middle of that sandwich. Look back, look ahead. They might have a little hangover from playing Baltimore. It's a physical team. But I think this is one you got to get.
And Panthers have terrible rushing defense, so I think Washington should hopefully focus on getting back into their rushing game, Get McNichols, Eckler.
Is Robinson up?
Robinson is back up. So
that's big.
It's getting all those guys, and then that's going to open up also Jaden Daniels in the rush game. I think they have a chance to kind of get that going heading into the Bears the following week. Not to think ahead, but it'll be interesting to see if they can get that going.
Well, we can move on to the next game for sure.
Dolphins and Colts.
And we can move on to the next game. Again, for sure. No,
Right.
I'm joking. I do want to see Anthony Richardson. I always want to see Anthony Richardson. Like, they are putting him back in the game. I would have liked to give him a couple more weeks. I wouldn't let the leash be long. You know, if he's still missing some gimmies, like Joe has been a guy that can win you games, and you hate to drop a game like this where you find yourself. And the Colts, for a team that find themselves squarely in the wild card race at this juncture in the season, I don't think like super highly of, right?
Mm-hmm.
But boy, are they dangerous when the guy's making the throws, and so they need to get a little bit better play out of Richardson. Everybody knows that. I do think it's mechanics. I don't know if you can fix that year one. But he's got a hell of a mentor in Joe Flacco, who, once again, that YouTube drops right after this breakdown. And the Tua thing, where are we on the Tua thing now? He's going to be cleared probably?
Eligible to come back next week.
That's their expectation.
And Mike McDaniel says he's expected to play again this season.
Okay, so let's look at the Dolphins' schedule.
And real fast, Tyler Huntley will start this week. The Colts have allowed at least 7 yards per attempt to all opposing quarterbacks except Will Levis. Is he going to be closer to the Will Levis side, or is Huntley going to be to the C.J. Stroud, Malik Willis?
Just remember what the Packers did to this team with a backup quarterback. This is a good run offense if they keep the yellow flags in the referees' pockets and they don't make the stupid mistakes. They can run the football in these guys. I believe that. So, you know, this should look a lot better for Huntley. I mean, Colts defense.
Colts ranked 30th in adjusted line yards on defense, and the Packers in that Week 2 win ran for 261 yards.
Yeah, so here you go. Again, and I said this earlier about, like, LaFleur. I'm a little bit surprised at how poorly – and part of it is, like, when you run a complicated-ass offense that, like, takes a lot of practice to run, the timing, the quick diagnosis of the open voids in defense, the motion, the run game that is like screen game or pass game, quick game that takes timing, like down to swing passes out of the backfield, which they were fucking up when Huntley first trotted out there. I expected Mike McDaniel to be better, like with a backup quarterback, you know, especially knowing that every season you enter with Tua as your quarterback, you can expect now at this point that he's going to miss some games. And so, again, it's the barometer for how good a head coach is to me. It's one barometer is how you prepare in crisis with a backup quarterback. I expect to see a lot better from them this week than we've seen in the recent past.
Because if it doesn't get better down there quick, it's going to be interesting to see how long until Tyreek Hill blows up and is visibly unhappy, because he's a guy down there that –
this is it for him. He's not going to be running a 4.3 the rest of his life. And like, what happens to him when he can't run anymore? I'm not saying he's going to fall off a cliff this year, but he's got to be thinking, you know, it was all fun and games when they made the trade, and, you know, the first couple of years when, you know, they had these gaudy numbers against bad teams, and everybody's like, you're all idiots if you didn't like the trade. It was all fun and games. It was the greatest show on turf. But now what do you have to show for it? And, you know, I think he's got to realize deep down inside that he's left some money on the table in his career. Although the statistical output's been great, but the winning, he has to know there's a ceiling on their potential in this locker room.
Yep.
It just is.
Yep.
And with the quarterback they have, whether he comes back or not, there's a ceiling. And so does he want to be on the move? Exactly. I would think so.
There's a ceiling, and just like you said before, you kind of have to know with him, as long as he's your quarterback, you're one hit away from never catching a pass from him again.
Yeah.
Like that's the truth.
Yeah, but also
everyone is like theoretically, but
I know I said this and I got killed for it. Like early on, I said I'd like to see somebody who can actually get the ball to Tyreek.
Yep.
It's hard not to get the ball to Tyreek a good bit because he's so fucking good. But like, tell me the truth. If he had a different quarterback over the last few years, he'd have even more yards.
Absolutely.
Even more yards.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so at some point, whether the guy's coming back or not, like I'd almost rather they turn the page. You know, I think in the short term, obviously Tua, if he's back this year, is better than whatever option they have.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Tyreek, who's now in his 30s, is like I would want to be there forever. Like he might love Miami.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's got hardware, he's got money, he's got all – maybe he just loves where his life's at. But when you think about, like,
tell you what,
Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, you know, Jaden Daniels, the premier quarterbacks in this league, and I threw Jaden Daniels at Burrow, obviously. I'm not ranking them. There's just a lot of guys that you'd love to be catching the ball from, and now you're dealing with not only the ceiling that was on this offense when they play good teams when it's crunch time, but now – the quarterback's hurt. And the worst thing is not like an injury where you know what it's going to be.
Nope.
You're in limbo. That's the fucked up thing.
Yep.
You know, so anyways.
Raiders at Rams. This might be another skip one.
Raiders at Rams. Not I don't want to say a skip one because I actually think this is going to be a pretty good game. It's a Kevin Harlan game.
It's an Antonio Pierce game.
Yep.
And those are always good. And if this is one of Max Crosby's last games as a Raider, which I hope it's not, because I don't want him taking my spot in Detroit. but it would be a shame. It would really be a shame because
would it?
Yeah, it would. I mean, maybe not for him. Only he could tell you if he really wants to leave or not.
Doesn't sound like he does. But
he's another one of these guys that wants to go out on his sword. Whatever that entails. I'm just telling you. And I wasn't Max, but I was in a situation like that where the team sucks.
Yeah.
And you take pride in, like, not taking the easy way out. It's a little bit like the Dame Lillard thing.
So
for Max.
If you'd have got a St. Louis tattoo, do you think you wouldn't have left?
No, I'd have still left.
Okay.
It's a part of the journey. I have a Ken Flagel tattoo. I don't call him every day. You know what I mean? It's like it's just part of the journey. But the point is, like, the Dame Lillard thing, there was a point of pride in, like, sticking it out and trying to win and not be somebody. Now, football's different. You know, players aren't just choosing their destinations willy-nilly. The team has to buy into that, and the team has to be bad to want to sell a guy like Max. But I do think there's a point of pride where it's like, what if we turn it around? Remember Oakland. Remember when I came in the league playing in front of the black hole. Remember all those fans and, like, the promise that we felt in the, you know, the short – he's had a taste of winning there. You think about – I used to think in St. Louis, I'll never forget when they had renditions of a stadium that they were going to build downtown. And it was like 2018 or something. And this is like in the early 2010s before the team moved. And I said to myself, boy, I'd like to be here when they build that stadium. I don't know if we'll ever win, you know, but I would love to be here if it ever turns around. Now, it did turn around in L.A., but I think for a Max Crosby, he wants to be there when it turns. And it would suck for a guy like that who seems like, to me, the quintessential Raider. Like, when I asked my dad what he just loves the guy. I mean, he's just like, all former Raiders love the guy. All Raiders players, coaches love the guy. All Raiders fans love the guy. He really is out of central casting to be a Raider. And it just sucks that we're even talking about moving him because the organization has been inept. And the Josh McDaniels thing absolutely set them back. And now Tom Brady's walking in with a full spread. My brother was at that thing.
Nice.
He sent me a little video because he works for the Raiders. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? They got sushi. They got fucking fruit out on the table. They got like, it's like.
No nightshades.
No nightshades. There's no eggplants. But like they got a real spread and people are like lining the stairways for Tom Brady to walk in.
Fire.
And maybe this does help because honestly, like you think about it, it's like, oh, it's a business venture for him. But like a building that's got somebody like Tom Brady in it, I don't care if he's a minority owner or what, like if he owns a lot of the team or not, his advice still goes a long way.
Hell yeah.
And Mark Davis is going to be soaking that up. So,
and who says he can't help the future quarterbacks that come there? Who says he can't help to recruit some of the future quarterbacks and stuff like that to come play for the Raiders?
No question. And but you can't recruit people unless the roster's in good shape and you're winning. So, like, that's got to be number one. But also when evaluating the quarterback next year, because they are in – Antonio Pierce wanted Jaden Daniels, like, on record early. I don't know if that was out there, but, like, I knew he wanted Jaden Daniels. He didn't tell me, but, like, that was the word. So, like, and he coached him. So it makes a lot of sense. And could you imagine if they had picked him up? Now, Cliff might have been there with him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was part of it. They had looked at Cliff, I think. It's just like next year when you got a shot at it, you got to nail it. And now for this team, you're kind of in that situation where you're kind of decent enough to win a couple games. And are you going to play yourself out of the sweepstakes? So it's going to be interesting to see how they carry this. I think the Tom Brady announcer thing is really interesting. And I suppose Fox knew that when they signed him, right? Like, we've been talking about this ownership thing for a while. Those rules didn't start today. They didn't start this week. Like, I'm pretty sure my dad's company was like, hey, he might be an owner at sometimes, but that doesn't at some point, but that doesn't mean we don't throw the bag at him. There's ways around this thing. He's not going to be able to be in the production meeting. He's not going to be able to go to team facilities. But really, and I can remember when those guys came in the building on like a Thursday, Friday practice, I used to love it. When Gruden came in, like Gruden would come in for one of our practices. I got to imitate him one time in front of him, and he was like, "That's pretty good." Like, it like made my day. But we'd go because they'd have a couple players up to the production meeting every time you play a primetime game, every time you play a game, and usually
both times you guys played primetime.
Both times, seriously. But every time you have anybody in town, like Tom Brady for a 4 p.m., like we'd go to the hotel, it'd be the quarterback, maybe your two best defensive guys, and like a star on offense. And so they'd send a couple guys in, and I'd get to talk to like whoever it was that was calling the game. And I know that was really big for the guys that were calling the game because they have something to go off of. Like, it makes their homework easier. And there's also an understanding when they're in that production meeting that like they're not going to burn you and what you say. So that's a real tool that Tom Brady's not going to have calling these games. On top of that, he can't criticize the officials, which I think is pretty damn interesting. That's going to become a thing where, like, every time there's a bad call, it's going to be like that kid with the meme. and he can't speak on it. And fans are going to be – because fans more than anything want you to acknowledge the bad call. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to be an interesting one. Like, and I'm talking about – I don't care because I can see the call.
Yeah.
If you're not going to say anything, don't say anything. Just don't bullshit me and try to stick up for the refs. He's not going to do either one. He's just going to stay out of it. He's going to lay out.
You know who's doing that very well, not laying out, is Troy.
Troy went off on the Cowboys receivers this week.
And then you have the analyst off screen, the officiating guy explaining the call, and he's like, no, I understand. I understand the explanation.
Yeah, no.
I don't agree with it.
Hey, listen, Troy Aikman is good at his fucking job.
Yep.
And Joe Buck is too. And I don't know what happened where all of a sudden, like, they started hating Joe at one point. Maybe they always hated Joe, but like I hear a lot of bad things about Troy. You hear bad things about everybody on the internet. If you listen to the timeline, they could all do it better. But Troy's really good at his job. And I love what you're talking about, which is the honesty that he gives you. Mm-hmm. There's just some guys can't be bought.
Yep.
Like, and he's one of those guys. Tom Brady has been bought.
Yes. He's bought in.
He's bought in. So,
rolling the red carpet out for that guy.
Who's next? Arizona, and are they playing this week?
Yeah, those are Monday night. Yeah. So we'll do a quick
Monday night game.
Yeah. So let's Chargers at Cardinals.
I think this is a bludgeoning. I'm starting to worry this is a bludgeoning. This is a physical football team, and they're playing a defense that, not by any fault of their own, is just not a very physical outfit. I mean, they're just not a talented physical outfit. I read something interesting this week.
What's that?
Mike Williams rumor trade to Chargers. At least there's buzz, which means absolutely nothing. It just means we're talking about it. But boy, would that be funny. It's like the Chase Young back to Washington thing. But they could use another piece. And I think they're at the point now where you've seen that Greg Roman, this thing works. And the nice thing about Greg Roman, and maybe it's by design, it fits Harbaugh for sure from like a standpoint of physicality. But also, who's hiring Greg Roman to be a head coach in the NFL at this juncture? So you've got your franchise quarterback and you've got an offensive coordinator that if it works with him, you never have to worry about him getting poached. Who wants to go work? Who wants to coach anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Justin's that good. I think he can be that good. And there's people that say he's not that good because he hadn't beat anybody or yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. I think when you watch the tape, this guy's got some special traits. And, like, for instance, I can't believe we were ever having a conversation about the guy in Miami and the guy on the Chargers. I can't believe we were ever having that conversation. Okay? Greg Roman, if he can still get something out of the pass game with this guy, man, oh, man. Like, he's not going to go anywhere. If they can add a second piece at receiver, I mean, like, I don't know. They would be buyers before the deadline, but I would be excited to watch this team play with another piece. And the defense, you know, if you get up on this team and you ball control them, they don't know what to do. Arizona I know somebody pointed this out to me this week when I said Arizona didn't come back. Like, they came back against the Niners. Well, the Niners didn't have a kicker. I'm pretty sure if the Niners had a kicker, that game plays out completely different. Arizona, when they get in their bag and they don't know what to do, they start floundering and trying to get it back and doing stupid shit. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is questionable with a concussion.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think it's a good spot for Chargers. I do. Is there any other reason to watch this game other than they got a captive audience? I'm excited.
The brother
Harbaugh theory.
What are we calling this thing?
The Harbaugh theory.
Okay, good.
The Harbaugh theory. They're both playing on Monday night.
Yeah.
I had to switch the theory to that they both can't lose
the same day
in the same week.
Well, I think you're safe here because they're playing the Cardinals. I think they match up really well with those guys. I could be wrong, but I do think that the Ravens should beware a little bit on Monday night. I think this is a team that matches up very well.
And they're coming off an offensive bludgeoning. The Bucs.
The Ravens are a great team, right? They're class of the NFL, along with a couple other teams. But an interesting stat, this is from Mazurski8895 on Twitter. Look at me attributing, like, just
really good.
Regular people.
That's really good.
Let me set an example for some other people. All right. 4-2 record teams and opponent combined records. You get where I'm going?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens 13-11, Steelers 12-11. That's a shock, right?
Solid.
Falcons 14-15. Then there's a big gap. Packers 7-15.
Okay.
So the point is, those three teams. Oh yeah, I forgot one. The Bucs 13-9 is the combined record of their opponents. So nothing they're doing is fluky. They get Winfield back. They've got the studs inside. Like, Vea's gonna always be a nightmare to deal with. Todd can bring pressure, although you got to be careful bringing pressure against Lamar. And they found a little bit of a run game. Okay, like, they found a little bit of a run game. I worry about Baltimore's speed. Like, when you watch them against the Commanders, top down, the way those guys play those perimeter plays, like, they were humming. And a lot of the quick game stuff really does work for Tampa. But I think this is going to be a really good game and a lot of fun. This might be one of the better Monday night games that we've seen all year.
Be a good one.
And they stop the run. I don't know.
Makes us not captive.
Can anybody stop Derrick Henry?
Makes us not captive for Cards Chargers. We can keep watching Bucks Ravens.
Yeah, no question.
45-minute difference.
No question. No question.
And BetMGM wants us to know.
What do they want us to know? Oh, as we get ready for Week 6.
7.
In the no problem. As we get ready for Week 7 or Week 6 in the NFL this weekend, I want you to picture this. You bet your favorite player as first touchdown scorer. Nate, imagine this. But he throws a block to send a teammate in the end zone, which seemingly loses your bet, right?
Wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Keep that in mind next time you throw in a first touchdown score bet with BetMGM. Happy hunting.
I have a gift for you.
You
Could
do?
you please reach under your chair?
Is it the helmet?
No, it is not the helmet.
Where the fuck is that helmet,
I have
Steve?
no idea.
Is it a live animal?
Yes, it's a live animal under your chair. It's straight under. You can go straight under.
Oh, yeah. Can we get a Sharpie, too, while we're at it?
All right, let me try to guess what this is.
You can't look at it because it'll give it away.
Not your first time around a box, eh?
Yeah. Father of three. Hold on a second. It's a book. It's not a book. Hold on. Somebody got me a picture, okay?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Hey!
Look at that. Look at that, huh?
Oh! Wow. Thank you, YouTube.
Only took us 125,000 additional subscribers.
So,
Read it.
yeah, because we were past this.
Read
Yes.
it for the people. Yeah, read it.
Two
It
and a half
says,
times.
okay, since you can't see, I'll read it for you. Presented to Greenlight with Chris Long for passing 1 million subscribers.
Bang around.
Just joking, 100,000 subscribers. But we had lost this.
Yes, but we now have. There's one behind you too. Put one up. So
Nice.
we've got a couple.
Hey,
And-
that's you guys. Let me open the chat back so I can
Yeah. Shout out
so
to
I can
the
tell
chat.
the chat
And
how much I love them.
We want the chat to know that Joe Flacco interview is live on YouTube.
Oh, it's live.
If everybody watching this live show after we end it jumps over and watches Joe Flacco,
it's a trophy on vaping. What does that mean?
Pass that to Chris, too.
I don't vape anymore, bro. I quit vaping, and you should too. You know what else I did? I am a 9 milligrams of nicotine guy a day, sometimes 12. I only Zen 3s now. What is this? This is a picture of me in 2007 looking tired as fuck. What am I doing?
You're signing that
Signing that.
for
Okay.
Nate. Nate unwrapped that last night,
Oh, so you're going to sell this.
which is actually fun. In his other,
Why are you going to say I'm going to sell it, bro?
Didn't you get
Because
a-
you're the
did
type
you
of
get a
guy that
sign?
sends a coach back from London.
Nate did get a signed Chris Long Panini card last night, which is funny because I think at one point that Panini card had been in this room signed by you.
Well, that's interesting.
And then it got sent back out, and
That's
then Nate
so
bought it,
interesting.
and then it comes back.
That's so interesting. Here you go. How many milligrams a day, though? 12 milligrams a day of nicotine. You got to, if I was in the 80s, and I'm going to tell you the truth here at the end of this show, because anybody Zenin needs to know this. Anybody who's a nicotine addict needs to know this. My life has improved a lot over the last few weeks. The first couple weeks suck. What? It's true.
Now you're off Zen.
It's true. I'm not off Zen. I'm not off Zen. I have 4 threes a day. I just had one I'm craving another one. But I don't take I don't take sixes. Okay? I don't. That's a bad deal. No human being needs that much nicotine. Nobody needs 3 sixes before bed, okay? What were we doing?
Size does matter, huh?
I don't know if you're taking it a step too far. But it has greatly alleviated the stress of, I know some of you guys zen a lot. I was not talking about nicotine. I know you guys in here zen a lot, but I promise you, if you zen less, you'll be happier. It's easy to call me a coward. It's your move.
Hey, thanks for being here on this Friday. Make sure to go to Greenlight on Twitter, comment below to make sure you get the greatest random player that we have.
Yeah,
haven't
you might
named
get
yet.
that fucking hat that everybody was like, oh, where do I get that hat?
Yep.
Will Anderson had that hat. I want the hat. Look it up or win the contest.
Think of the greatest random Chief or 49er, comment on Twitter, and we're going to pick a player on Monday. So you got to come back Monday at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll announce.
Thank you, Tony Bennett.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, you forgot about it for like an hour.
No, I
you?
didn't.
No, you
It's
didn't.
been a struggle.
They said he was crying.
All right.
At the presser?
Like I got an alert. I got
an alert that he was crying?
No, Tony Bennett.
I'm sure he was crying.
Tony Bennett says tearful goodbye.
Macon's going to cry. Cry on air. Cry on air. Put the camera on Macon. Tony Bennett's never going to coach here again. It's over. Tony Bennett's not going to coach here again. Ron Sanchez might be great, but you're going to miss the post-game presser. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all things come to an end, you know?
Yep.
The adversity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The Giants suck.
Fuck the Giants.
Okay.
Thank
We
you
ever
all.
find out why there's 40s in the fridge?
Yeah, why are there 40s?
You'll find out. You'll find out. You'll find out. It'll be a great thing. Everybody's going to love it.
And
We're going to
It's
play
gonna be
Edward
good.
40 hands?
And here I was.
We could. You want to play Edward 40 hands?
No, I quit drinking too.
Here I was. I thought that was for the live show last night. I was like, oh,
No.
we got those 40s for the.
Yeah, Nate was
Thursday
like, "Can I?
night."
Yo, can I get a 40?" And I was like, "No, you can have the other beers."
I think Macon's going to drink them all. Everybody take care. Love y'all.
Appreciate
Thanks
y'all
for,
being here.
joining the show. Thank you very much. And, yeah, this is all you guys, this YouTube shit. Take care.